It's time for Twig. This week in Google, Stacy, Jeff, and Ant are all in the house. We're going to have some fun this week talking about Elon Musk. Did he really apologize? Blurry subway photos of the latest Pixel Fold leak. But did they tell us anything? And how AI is changing everything. Plus, is it the end of the line for Fitbit? All that and more coming up next on Twig.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is Twig. This week in Google, episode 706, recorded Wednesday, March 8th, 2023. What's this dot here? This Week in Google is brought to you by Melissa. More than 10,000 clients worldwide in retail, education, healthcare, insurance, finance, and government rely on Melissa for full-spectrum data quality and ID verification software. Make sure your customer contact data is up to date. Get started today with 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. And by Miro. Miro is your team's visual platform to connect, collaborate, and create together. Tap into a way to map processes, systems, and plans with your whole team. Get your first 3 boards for free to start creating your best work yet at Miro.com/podcast. Thanks for listening to this show. As an ad-supported network, we are always looking for new partners with products and services that will benefit our qualified audience. Are you ready to grow your business? Reach out to advertise@twit.tv and launch your campaign now. It's time for Twig. This Week in Google, the show we cover all the latest happenings with Elon Musk. No.
You stop it.
Stop it. That's Aunt
If
Pruitt.
Stacy has anything to say about it, we won't.
No, that's Jeff Jarvis. And that's Stacey Higginbotham. There you go. The regulars are all assembled. Woo!
We're back. Or I'm back. Y'all are here.
How
you
are
were
you,
gone
Stacy?
too. I'm much better. That was the nicest, shortest bout of COVID ever. So
It's not. Was it your first or no?
no, it was my second. Remember, I was stuck in Dallas for 2 weeks.
Oh, I do remember that.
That's
Yeah.
right. I forgot
Yeah.
about that.
And then
I was
and then
like,
your daughter got it in Puerto Rico,
yeah, like 2 weeks later.
but you didn't get it from her. But
No.
I bet you this is from those conferences you were going to.
Well, no, this one was from Andrew. Andrew got it
Oh,
because he didn't. Oh, he's right outside.
The husband.
You might see Andrew. Yeah, that's my husband. We have the bird issue. The bird is back. Do y'all remember the bird last year?
no.
Bird.
This time I had a robin that was attacking this back window here.
No, that
And it would
wasn't on
just-
this show.
Thunk. Oh, no, it happened for months. Like it must have happened on this show because like it would just thunk, thunk. And you could even see it if you were watching.
The
It'd just
robin
be
that
like,
hates
Oh,
me.
man.
So was he painting a giant cat on the window, or what is he doing?
I mean,
Prevent
he's a horny, dumb bird and thought there was a.
I was talking about your husband, but
A
if you want to
rival.
call him a horny dumb bird, you go right ahead.
My husband's covering all of our windows with plastic film right now to prevent the robin from.
You think it will?
We'll try.
Well, plus, we
it
can't
went
see
for
your plant anymore,
Reflections.
can we?
Yeah. Reflections.
2 months. And we tried the Mylar strips. We tried like the bird balloons.
We have actually just in video of the bird.
Yes.
Thanks to the
Except
club.
it would be, I mean, it wouldn't be great if it died, but like, it
We
would
used to
do
have-
it, like,
When I lived in Santa Cruz, we had picture windows, and birds would die. They would fly into it and knock themselves out.
yeah, this one isn't dying. It
He's
just
attacking
attacks it starting at 4:30 in the morning, and it'll attack it literally all day. And he does nothing else. And
He's
I
not
want him to
attacking it
go-
by flying into it. He's like pecking at it.
yeah,
This
he
is
flies to
strange
it and goes, "Hukunk."
This is strange behavior.
And the
That was
later in the
Stacey's
season it
bird
gets.
imitation.
Yeah,
Stacy, you know, there is a simple
that was a
fix.
good gift. There you go.
There is a simple fix for this. It's called cats.
Yeah, I was hoping, but we don't have. My neighbor has a dog.
Yeah,
I have a dog. We
you have
can't
a
stick
dog.
like the little
Yeah.
high pitched thing.
No, but I mean, just having a cat would be.
I know if I could import a cat, it would totally kill this robin because
Cats
it's
for
very
rent.
predictable.
Yeah, well, it doesn't have to kill it, but it would certainly scare it off.
Well, they like to.
No, I think it
Yeah.
needs to
You
like
think
this
that's all the
bird.
cat's gonna do?
Yeah, the bird's not going to, or the cat's not going to scare it off. The cat is going to, like, this bird isn't very smart. Here, honk.
You know,
And
I
then
had
I'll go kill other birds.
That, once again, we got the Stacy bird imitation.
That was the cat imitation.
I had
It's
somebody.
funny how the bird imitation and the cat imitation are very similar.
Very similar.
No. Oh, that's audio. You really need the visual.
Punk.
The visual is very
Punk.
different. Okay.
I had somebody call the radio show photographer. He calls himself Dr. Bird. He's a bird lover. And he said, yeah, those windmills are killing birds like right and left. He said, you ever go to President Trump's website, you see the bald eagle that got beheaded by a wind turbine? That's my picture. And I said, wait, really? Is that a... So I looked it up. According to the Federal Wildlife Service, the top threat to birds is collision with building glass.
Yeah.
Oh.
600 million birds die every year colliding with building glass. Then electrical lines, vehicles, wind turbines is 234,000. It's, what is that? 6 orders of magnitude less. And cats are 2.4 billion. I should have, if I had the presence of mind, I could have said, I agree, let's get rid of wind turbines. And while we're at it, let's get rid of buildings and cats, because that's the real threat. Anyway, a cat would work, but our cats are too fat and lazy to catch birds, but they will sit in the window and look and glower.
Do they make the sounds? Do they try to do their bird imitations? Which are far better than Stacy's, I might add.
Yeah, they do they do chirping, little chirping. Yeah.
Chirp.
And I think that's probably effective. But anyway, back to the show.
Sorry, that had nothing to do with technology.
This is
That
the
was
show.
very
We
long.
actually never got to the show. Welcome to the show. Thank you for
Somebody
joining us.
should remember how you used to diagram sentences? Somebody should diagram the conversations on this show.
Oh,
How do we get to birds
all over the
from-
place.
Yeah. What was your it was Andrew, and you got COVID
was
from
COVID.
him.
Oh, let's
He's
get back to the
outside.
COVID. Okay, wait a minute. Let me pop that stack back to the COVID. So you had a very minor case. Thank goodness. Thank goodness.
Yes.
And Andrew as well?
Much better. Yeah. He was positive for like 10 days, but he was minor, and he's out playing pickleball in a little bit. So
Well,
I
he's not
guess
that
fine.
sick, is he, huh?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So meanwhile, my father has now had internal bleeding, pneumonia, and hallucinations.
Does he
because
have
of
long COVID?
He got it in January, and then the crap started happening.
Does he have a UTI? Have they checked for that?
They've checked for that,
did.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw that on Succession.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
Yes.
Good point.
Everything I know about UTIs, I learned from Succession.
Such
All
a
right.
good show.
Let me log
All
in.
right. So
Oh,
what
you
are we
like
talking
it,
about
Ann?
on
Have
this
you
show?
seen it? Oh, that's good.
Succession. Yeah, Succession is a good show.
Yeah, it's coming back.
I didn't like it at first because they were
This
a bunch of jackasses
horrible.
and it was
Yeah.
very hard to watch.
Yeah,
but
they're terrible
It's a good
people.
show.
Yeah. That's what makes it so good. They're really awful. Really awful people. So let's see here. Okay, let's just get this out of the way, and then we don't have to talk about it ever again. Okay?
Roger that.
You know what I'm talking about.
Can we set a timer?
Yeah. Set a 2-minute timer. Elon Musk
2 minutes. Okay.
being a jerky jerk. So it turns out I didn't really put 2 and 2 together, but fortunately others are paying closer attention, that those layoffs last week were mostly of founders whose companies were acquired and were thereby at Twitter. And there was this theory going around that Elon hadn't fired them up to now because he was concerned about payouts, and that perhaps he'd found some legal opinion that said, oh, you could fire him and then you don't have to give him any money and blah, blah, blah.
I think he's just like, we'll just go bankrupt and we won't have to make
have to
the
worry
payouts,
about it.
right?
Yeah. So they fired some great people, Esther Crawford, of course, but Leah Culver, who is a super talented, one of the creators of OAuth. She was acquired and was doing Spaces.
Which one was the floor lady?
That's Esther Crawford,
Floor lady?
the one who tweeted, hashtag sleep where you work, and had a picture of her in a sleeping bag at Twitter early on in the Elon. She was an Elon, I don't want to say sycophant, but Elon fan in the beginning.
No, she
Loyalist.
supported it.
Loyalist.
Yeah.
That's a good way. That's a better way to put it. But even loyalists under the new regime don't last long. So the most recent one was actually pretty appalling. And I watched it play out in real time.
You did.
But you're on Twitter? Wait a second.
I was pointed
No.
to. No, I never
He
got rid of my
lurks.
account. I can read it.
He just lurks.
I read only.
Okay.
Read only Twitter. But somebody was talking about it, and I went and I saw it. Is he Finnish?
He's
Icelandic. That's right. Developer whose company, Uene, had been acquired by Twitter some time ago. Just on last Saturday, a week ago Saturday, had his laptop, his email account locked out, which is, usually a sign that you perhaps aren't working there anymore. But he never heard anything else, which is, by the way, incredibly bad policy, I think, for any company to signal that they fired you.
You can't just ghost your employers.
That's ghosting them. That's ghosting them.
It is.
Literally ghosting them.
Get the message, guy. You're not working here anymore.
So I think quite reasonably, Hallie, who has a muscular dystrophy, is in a wheelchair, but that's neither here nor there, at least in the beginning, was tweeted, well, I've lost access to Twitter, so I'm wondering.
He tried to get a hold of HR. He tried to do lots of things, and this was the last resort.
Yeah. 9 days ago, the access to my work computer was cut. So this 9 days later.
There's your timer.
Oh God, we just got started. Can I have 2 more minutes,
going.
please? Just 2. That's all.
You got to remember how Leo tells a story. This is the radio guy. The way
this is important. All right, come on.
Yeah, they've got to string the narrative along,
9
bring the
days
audience
ago.
along. That's his job.
I'm going to set a 5-minute timer. Go on.
I am Haralder from Finland. 9 days ago tweeted. No, actually, March 6th tweeted. 9 days ago, the access to my work computer was cut along with 200 other Twitter employees. However, your head of HR, he's tweeting Elon, dear Elon Musk, is not able to confirm if I'm an employee or not, and you've not answered my emails. So maybe if enough people retweet, you'll answer me here, to which 23,000 people retweeted him. He has about 150,000 followers. He even tweeted Jack. Hi, Jack. I'd really appreciate your help on this one. My company was acquired on your watch. I joined because I believed in what you're building. And then there's Sequoia and A16Z, 2 investors in Twitter, claiming they're founder friendly. So he's just wondering. So then he gets a response from Elon Musk, his very self. Elon says, oh, well, what work have you been doing? Now, Elon, I'm just going to point out, you probably could, there's probably a way to find that out without tweeting it publicly. But anyway, to which Hallie quite correctly says, I would need to break confidentiality to answer that question here.
Right.
If you have your lawyers share in writing, I can do that. Then I'd be happy to discuss that openly. To which Elon says, I give you permission. The king says, it's approved. You go ahead. So poor guy. I mean, this is just a dog and pony show at this point. But he's trying to, Hallie's trying to be responsive. So he says all the things he did, including saving $500,000 on a Figma contract. I could go on. But I'm still wondering, am I employed?
The original question was, am I still employed or not?
Yeah. So Elon says, oh, you didn't do anything. You didn't do any real work.
Show replies. You got to have show replies button.
Okay. Now I got to figure out which.
Down a little bit.
Which reply.
No, go down.
There we
right
go.
There, show
there
replies.
we go.
That's where you see.
There are a lot of other people replying. That's part of the problem. Is there's a lot of junk here. Anyway, Elon replies, well, that's not real work. And makes fun of him and says, you're in a wheelchair. And, I mean, really the lowest of the low stuff.
As low as Trump. And
mocks his disability.
In a wheelchair.
So, implying, well, you're in a wheelchair, you couldn't possibly have done any work, which is appalling. Anyway, my timer's coming up. So to make a long story short,
2:40.
It turns out Hallie is kind of an amazing guy who took his.
He was the Icelandic Citizen of the Year a couple of years ago. I watched on a note because he took his salary.
He beat out all 5 other Icelanders.
I know there's like only 300,000 of them, but still.
No, tell us why.
Because he took, instead of a big payout, he took it in salary because he wanted to pay full taxes because he felt like he got this opportunity because he had a free education, the Icelandic education. Basically, he loves Iceland and was like, I will pay taxes because y'all,
Furthermore, took the money and built 1,500 wheelchair ramps, became in Iceland, a huge advocate for wheelchair ramps.
He is amazing indeed.
I mean, this is a nice guy.
Yeah.
Who was it who went after Greta Thunberg? Oh, Andrew Tate. He's being like Andrew Tate.
He's another Andrew Tate. I know. It's unbelievable. Well, but remember, Elon called the entrepreneur who was saving the soccer team and trapped in a cave a pedophile just because they didn't use his submarine. Right. So, I mean, Elon is not a nice guy. He's never been a nice guy. In any event, Holly, it got resolved. Yeah, you're fired. And then Elon said, and then apparently he's talking. Elon said, but well, wait a minute, maybe I should hire you back because this really turned out to be a black mark. And Holly says, Elon
said he was given bad information because he always blames
somebody else's fault. I was I was told that you didn't work and you were in a wheelchair.
Then he tweeted that Holly's considering working at Twitter again.
He's not. Holly's opening a restaurant in Reykjavik named after his mom.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I'll add that to my bucket list. I can't wait to go to Iceland.
Everybody should go to Reykjavik and go to this restaurant and pat him on the back and say, you are a class act.
Iceland is one of those places, and Reykjavik Air is actually very helpful if you want to fly to Europe, like from the West Coast. If you go on Iceland Air, they fly you over and they'll give you like 2 nights in Reykjavik.
Yep.
And it's a very easy to set up. I can't remember what those are called, but just a little pro travel trip for you. You can go on to.
I am minimizing how horrific this threat was. The threat was. It was just Elon was so horrible. He has apologized since.
Well,
no, he hasn't.
No, he hasn't really. It's not a full apology.
It's like I misunderstood. It's not an apology.
Somebody misled
you know what?
me.
It's a non-apology apology.
Jerk.
And the best way to apologize would be to pay Holly the money you owe him. But of course, Elon's not paying anybody money he owes him. And the timer's up. Thank you very much, everybody. Good night. Perfect. I'm sorry, I underestimated it by half, but that's about what normal for a programmer.
Okay, that was like 8 minutes.
Oh.
But yes. That's still a good time.
For a radio guy, that's very quick.
This is a 3-hour show. What else are we going to talk about?
He's used to filling time here.
Here's what Elon wrote. The reality is that this guy, who is independently wealthy, did no actual work, claimed as his excuse that he had a disability that prevented him from typing, yet was simultaneously tweeting up a storm. Can't say I have a lot of respect for that.
I love that readers added context. They thought people might want to know.
Yeah, but actually the context is wrong. They said that Elon spoke directly, apologized, et cetera, which apparently maybe didn't really happen. And Holly's still saying, I sure would like to get that pay you owe me. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
So there's that story. And that's just, it's a typical Twitter outrage story. I almost don't even think it's news, except it's so appalling. And there are still people defending him.
Twitter.
Yeah, and we are very sad.
Oh, don't worry about that. We can just be sad about Twitter. This is just, it's like, I don't know. Yeah. Okay.
Like the country 2 years ago.
Twitter let its privacy and security protecting Tor service expire. They just didn't renew the certificate. So that was a year ago. They created a Tor service so that people who are in countries where Twitter is blocked still would have access to it. Not anymore.
How much did that cost them?
Oh gosh,
Nothing.
$10 at least a year.
Nothing.
FTC is now investigating to see whether Twitter has violated its consent decree. Remember, under Jack, Twitter had a fairly big investigation and had a consent decree that they would not introduce any new features without explicitly explaining how privacy would be protected, et cetera, et cetera.
So how does giving this stuff to the journalists violate that? That's what I couldn't understand.
So the FTC has demanded that Twitter turn over internal communications relating to Elon Musk, detailed information about layoffs, citing concerns that staff reductions could compromise the company's ability to protect users, something that they had agreed to do. In 12 letters sent to Twitter and its lawyers since the Musk takeover, so this has been ongoing, but the Wall Street Journal, I guess, just revealed this. The FTC has also asked the company to, quote, identify all journalists granted access to company records. Why? Because that's a privacy violation, right?
Okay.
And to provide information about the launch of the revamped Twitter Blue subscription service. They are also, and this will be fun, seeking to depose Mr. Musk in connection with the program. Remember, I think, frankly, it was the threat of having to do a deposition that convinced Elon. Is that me? I'm sorry. That convinced Elon to buy Twitter, right? It was the day before
that was a
he was
deposition
supposed
that would have revealed lots of stuff.
Yeah, he was supposed to do a deposition that he said, okay, fine. No deposition, I'll buy it. So he paid $44 billion the last time he was supposed to speak on record. Actually, he's done it in court since then in that trial, which he won, by the way. We should point out. Good news for Elon.
Yeah.
The SEC went after him for the tweet. They got $20 million out of him for the tweet that said he was going to take Tesla private. Then Tesla investors sued in court, and the jury decided that no, Elon's cool. That's okay. You could tweet that. Nobody lost any money. So he did get off the hook on that one, and did in fact testify before the jury on that one. FTC official wrote on November 10th, this is very early on, we're concerned staff reductions impact Twitter's ability to protect customer information. Actually, the reason we know this is the House Judiciary Committee published excerpts of them in a staff report. So it became public knowledge. The letters
I kind of feel like this. Oh, go on. Sorry.
The letters indicate Twitter responded to the FTC, but the agency, as of late January, felt the company was engaging in a, quote, troubling pattern of ongoing delay that raises serious concerns about its compliance. This could be a large fine. Sorry, go ahead, Stacey.
No, I was going to say, part of me feels like this is the FTC piling on to fine a company that it's kind of piling on to like something to give it a little bit more cachet. I know that's.
Well, you have a consent. No, I disagree. You have a consent decree with a company which had privacy problems before, right, and security problems before. Mm-hmm. And the consent decree, the company agreed to, and is still, by the way, bound, even though the company was sold, I believe. Wouldn't they still be bound?
Yeah, you are. You do not get out of your consent decrees. Yeah.
That they would, do due diligence before they did anything. And obviously, there's no due diligence going on Elon's side. So I think it's, you can't just say, oh, well, I guess that's the way it is in the world. You got to pursue that. That's
okay.
I mean, if you don't pursue a consent decree, they have no teeth in future.
Right. Okay. You've convinced me.
Yeah. I mean, I agree that Lena Khan is the latest thing is one of the FTC commissioners said, big tech is like Standard Oil, which is wrong in like every possible. Well, Standard Oil was one company.
I mean, from a
big tech is a rather large umbrella.
Yeah.
Each big tech company has such a monopoly over so many aspects of someone's digital experience.
Let's define monopoly.
Oh, boy.
Okay. I've been trying to extricate myself from Google, and it is almost impossible.
Yeah, it's hard. I'm doing it bit by bit. By the way, I'll help you out with this. Fastmail replaced Google Calendar and Google Address Book. That's one of our sponsors. I use Neva instead of Google Search, which, by the way, every bit as good as Google Search, better in many respects. But unfortunately, the company uses Google Workspace.
And that's so it's not as hard for me to get off Google. It's hard to communicate with other people who use Google. Because like when people send me Google Meet invitations, when I come in here to, that's where they get you.
We're very much
am I going to be the only
Google.
person left on a show called This Week in Google who uses Google?
I like Android.
Oh, yeah. Actually, I got back from Jason. I had to beg him because he didn't want to give it back to me. The Samsung Galaxy S23. And I'm actually quite liking it. In fact, if I were going to do a pick, I found one of the great things about Android compared to the iPhone is you can have your own launcher. And I found something that's called a minimal launcher that's just like it's text. And there's no status bar. There's no nothing. It's very clean.
Ooh, Kevin
I really
would love
like
that.
it.
Clean.
Yeah, I really like it. It's called Zero. Let me give you the exact name. It's called, I think, Zero Launcher. Zero Launcher.
Nice.
It's very simple. There's not much here. I'll show you how it looks, though, which is nice. And the wallpaper changes every day. And then, if you want to see, you have your apps and you could type a couple of letters and launch an app and so forth. But
Pretty straightforward.
The ones I use the most. And this could be fewer lines. I have 8, but you could have down to 4. It's clean. No status bar at the top. If you need that, you can just pull it down and you'll get it.
Nice.
No, I don't turned off navigation. The one little thing, because it's a Samsung and has this sidebar menu, so I can quickly get to Pokemon Go. But other than that, and there's no, I like this too. So normally on One UI and Google's launcher, you slide left, you'll get Google News and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
If you slide left here, you get a phone, because this is a phone. You slide right, you get a camera, because it's a camera.
Oh, I like that.
That's it.
I like
Slick,
that.
dude.
That's it, right? If I want Google Assistant,
What's that called?
Zero
again?
Launcher.
That's
See,
pretty slick.
you lost me until then. Then you got me.
Yeah. Isn't that not? I mean, so yeah, if you need a phone, you got it, and your contacts are there too. It still has time, and so you can set alarms and all that stuff by tapping the time. You can get your calendar by tapping the date, but and you can get but the camera's right there too, which I think is really nice. I don't know. I don't. This is completely subsidiary conversation, but I guess that's ghoulish.
So when you
Google.
when you
Actually
demanded
has
the
Google.
phone back from Jason, did he call you a hypocrite for denying all other Google and then lusting after
No,
this?
this is a
as Jason
Samsung.
well should have,
It's
right,
not
Jason?
Google, it's Samsung. No, part of my job, honestly, I'm still probably, my daily driver is going to be an iPhone, but my job really is to know how Samsung, and I have a Pixel and an iPhone and use Windows and Mac. I have to use all of those so I can answer questions and stuff. It's part of my job.
And because it's
description.
damn good.
I don't, I often ask myself, if I were a private citizen, if I were just a normal human being, maybe working down at the auto body shop, what phone would I have? It'd probably be an iPhone.
Same.
And it wouldn't be a modern, it'd probably be an
Nope.
iPhone 10.
Some SE,
Yeah, an older iPhone, yeah.
some SE iPhone, or some simplified Galaxy phone. This is what
and
the masses have.
to circle around to what you were saying, Stacey, I probably wouldn't be de-Googling my life. I'd probably be all in on Google, right? Because
Oh yeah, you would not de-Google. You would.
that's a lot of work.
Well, unless you were my mother.
Is she de-Googling?
I'm like 10 steps away from her, like going off and like living in a Faraday cage. Yes.
Really?
She is
Oh.
de-Googling. So
Huh.
I told her actually about Fastmail, and she was very excited about it.
Yeah, because you can use it instead of Google Calendar and
Mhm.
instead of Google Contacts. Unfortunately, so then I turned off Google, right? And then Lisa said, but I send all of the meeting invites to you on Google.
Exactly.
Yeah.
My wife
That's
still
it.
uses Google, so I kind of have to, right?
I experienced this with Kevin because Kevin has been off for a long time. He's on Proton Mail and all these other things. And every now and again, he's like, I didn't get it. And I'm like, oh. He's like, okay, fine. Send it to my Gmail address. I'm like, well, let me see. Like, I want to support you
Isn't
in
that
this. Let's
funny?
figure out how I can send you something.
Isn't that funny?
That's tough.
Zero Launcher's
I mean-
tagline is
Googling is
minimal
like the Google
AF
free
launcher.
of day to day.
I don't know what the AF means, but that's what it is. The minimal.
As if you,
I know what it means. Jeff, come on. I may be de-Googling, but I'm not Stacy's
It's not a
mom.
dinosaur.
By the way,
He is a senator.
your mom's got it going on. I just want to say.
That's,
Good for
yeah,
her.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
My existence is that song.
I'm so sorry. You're probably so sick of that. Was that a big hit when you were in high school? No, it was later than that.
I think it was high school.
Oh,
What was
that's
that? Fountains
terrible.
of Wayne?
Yeah, Fountains of Wayne.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
well,
I'm so sorry. That was a very
Hey.
bad time for that song to be a hit.
yeah. It was not my best years. I think I was in college because they released they were active between 1996 and 2011. So I
That's
was in college.
Great
Okay.
band. Great song. Great name.
Is it? I grew up to who did the song Sarah by Journey? Is that Journey?
Sarah. Yeah.
Yeah, that song.
Yeah. I think
So
Journey
I
or
lived for
Fleetwood
that
Mac,
song
one of
because
those.
I think it's Journey then.
Yeah, that sounds right.
And I always wanted from my early ages, because like I was a baby basically when MTV came out, and I would run out and see this because I love the song and the video with the running down the hallways. And I wanted my name in a song. And then years later, that's what I got.
Stacy's mom has got it going on.
Starship. There we go.
Starship.
Thank you, Raygun.
Starship. Well, so did Fleetwood Mac. There were quite a few people. In fact, when I worked with Sarah Lane,
different song.
When I worked with Sarah Lane, she hated those, all of them. She hated them. Right? You know how that is.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but I get it, but
as a kid, you didn't know any better. You thought,
yeah,
I need a song. Yeah. What's my theme?
The song I'm talking about is Sarah.
They all sound like that.
I'm also tone deaf. But they do sing it kind of like that.
The question is, will the YouTube bot be able to tell that was actually a song and have to take us down?
Okay, someone who isn't tone deaf should probably try, but it's not me.
I want to check your ears, Miss Stacy. That was rough.
I know. Here, it's Jefferson Starship.
Yeah,
there you go.
We know who it is.
Never saw the video, but I remember the song. Ish. Done, John.
You are not allowed to play this. This is worse than saying the F word on Google. This is so bad. By the way, you can now say the F word on Google.
Oh, yeah. Can I say it now?
Really?
Can I say it?
No.
What if somebody's kids
We're
listen
better
to
than YouTube. YouTubers, in fact, Renee Ritchie, who is YouTube's creator liaison and our good friend, had to make a video explaining the new rules. YouTubers can now swear at the start of videos without getting monetized.
What does it mean at the start?
Without getting demonetized.
Well, that was the rule. The rule was if you say a bad word within the first 10 seconds of your video, 15 seconds of your video, we're going to demonetize the whole video.
But it's okay to say it later and not get demonetized? That's why I don't understand.
If a video contains swearing within the first 15 seconds, it will be demonetized. No, now, because that's patently ridiculous, they're going to ease it and you can swear within the first 15 seconds. Wait a minute. Let's just ask Renee Ritchie.
Renee, very binary.
Renee,
you can or you can't.
Yeah. Let me see.
This rule is confusing.
Well, I think that's really what more than anything else. It was like, how am I supposed to do that?
Were they trying to avoid people because they have autoplay or things like that suddenly encountering something that was really upsetting?
Oh, that would make sense.
But then do they have similar rules to like not showing graphic violence in that time frame or other disturbing
They
things?
did. They had a number of rules, but the real guidelines seemed to really be to get to profanity. It was a profanity policy. So they've announced effective March 7th, we're making the following changes. I'm going to try to read this with a straight face. Usage of moderate profanity at any time in the video is now eligible for green icons. Usage of stronger profanity, like the F word, in the first 7 seconds or repeatedly throughout the majority of the video can now receive limited ads. That's better than under November's update, which was no ads. Video content using profanity, moderate or strong. This is like the nun that comes out with a ruler to see if your skirt is sufficient inches below your knee. Video conference using profanity, moderate or strong after the first 7 seconds will now be eligible for green icons unless used repetitively throughout the majority of the video. Under the November update, this would receive note. We've also clarified our guidance on how profanity in music is treated. Moderate or strong profanity used in background music, backing tracks, intro, or outro music can now earn full ad revenue. Use of any profanity in titles and thumbnails will still be demonetized and cannot run ads. So I think you're right. I think you actually got it. If I may say this, YouTube, you nailed it, Jeff, because you said it's about the previews. It's about people straying across it.
Actually, I didn't say that. Somebody else did.
Well, I said that.
Stacy.
My God.
Stacy.
You're giving
if I may say, you nailed it, Stacy. Thank you. Nailed it. Here
like
is
you nail a keyboard.
Here is our good friend. Oh, I can't play it. It's on Twitter for some reason. Well, among other things, Twitter's not playing back the video. I swear to God. Have you noticed? Wait a minute, did Stacy just leave? She ran out of the
She's
door.
so mad that you gave me credit for her brilliance.
She ran away.
Just can't take it anymore.
And now she's
I know,
yelling back to the
My
mic.
dog was scratching at the door and wanted to come in. And I thought you didn't notice me.
Let the little
My
fellow.
bad.
We
Because
always
you
notice
totally
you.
ignored my.
Here is Renee Ritchie explaining the new rules.
Late last year, YouTube updated the ad-friendly guidelines around profanity, which videos get green or yellow icons, monetized or demonetized. We read your feedback, watched your videos, we've listened, we've heard you, and here's Connor from our ads policy team with a fresh update.
Upon reviewing our own enforcement data, we found the profanity policy
shirt
resulted
matches
in a
the hair.
stricter approach than we intended.
That's amazing.
As a result, we are making the following changes
All right,
to
I've
better
heard it.
reflect
I do
the
like his
goals
accent,
of
though.
our initial update.
Connor's clearly
We are no longer
from New
treating
Zealand. All right, so
What? I thought he was Irish.
no, I get you every time. I get you every single
You really
time.
do. Oh my God.
Every time. It's so cute. Thank you, Renee, for clarifying that. And Connor, thank you for your beautiful accent. You're a gorgeous man, you are.
Outstanding.
Straight out of the Banshees of Inisherin. Let's see. What else is going on? I should do an ad, shouldn't I? Should I do an
Yes,
ad?
sir.
Yes.
Since
Surprised
Yes.
Stacey
Oh,
didn't
and
set
then
an
we can
alarm
talk
for
about
that.
Gigi Sohn.
oh
I'm really
God,
pissed off about
jeez,
this.
me
Oh.
too. I am so peeved.
Enraged.
Rage. Okay, there's a good tease. Coming up next, rage.
Rage. But no curse words.
No, because we don't curse here. Although Jeff has the yellow icon all over his face.
Try to adjust it.
It's
I
all
can't
right.
figure
It's
this crap
okay.
out.
It's
That'd be nuts.
you know, this show probably
Oh,
more
there you go.
What?
Much
There,
better.
how's that? How's that?
He's working on it. Oh, yeah, you look like flesh.
So now I'm pink.
Yeah, but at least you're not like cast in amber
Yellow.
anymore.
You know what's great about, actually, I was thinking this was just this show, but all of our shows, each of our hosts is uniquely quirky in their own way.
You called me quirky.
Quirky's a nice way to put it. And
Are you sure you didn't mean cranky?
There's nothing quirky about me.
no, we're
I'm
all a
pretty
little bit
bland.
odd. Let's be
Oh, yeah.
frank.
Oh, yeah.
And every one of us, from Andy Anako to Paul Thurrott to Jeff Jarvis, we're all a little bit, just a little different. And that's what
Yeah.
makes it a wonderful place to be, I think. Isn't it true?
Indeed.
Don't you think?
I'm just boring. I don't know about quirky.
You're the most normal person on the network.
Yeah,
which
you
Yeah,
are
you
the
really
normal
are.
person here.
That's
true.
scary.
That's true.
But think about how much I learned about football from you and other exciting things.
Wait till we get to our Formula One segment, new on the network coming
yeah.
up. Ant and I discuss racing. But first, a word from Melissa, our sponsor. As the saying goes, an ounce of prevention. I should do this in. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And that's really true when it comes to your data at your company. Identity theft and data breaches are a huge problem. And I don't think I'm telling you anything you don't know. And if you're running a business, you need digital identity verification. And I got the place to go. Melissa, we've talked about them for years as the address experts, but really they're the data experts. Melissa's Electronic Identity Verification Suite, EIDV, is a seamless, robust tool that helps businesses like yours tackle identity fraud and mitigate risk during onboarding. The solution includes 3 components for complete ID verification: Personator Consumer, Personator Identity, and Melissa ID. So let me talk about those 3. There's Personator Consumer, which verifies customer and business contact information. That's actually a really important step. It enriches your records with demographics. It connects your data for a complete customer view, and it eliminates duplicates, makes sure everything's accurate. You get deeper insight, more effective business intelligence. Getting the data in right in the first place is so important. But then you also have the Personator Identity solution, which verifies identities, and it does it, by the way, completely worldwide. And this may be really important for you for legal reasons. You get cross-matching capabilities. You get watch list screening. This way you're compliant with anti-money laundering regulations or know your customer rules. Melissa helps you there, so that's a big part of your compliance. Melissa uses a layered approach for their data quality checks. It utilizes a dedicated engine for each of those layers, and it corrects, parses, understands names and addresses for safe customer onboarding while protecting your organization. The real advantage Melissa has, it's unique. It's having separate data quality tools built into a single eIDV service. So you get it all kind of, but you don't have to piecemeal it, right? With Melissa, you have access to flexible pricing. You get complete contact data verification using global services at no additional cost. You, of course, get their very rightly, I think, widely known award-winning tech support, and it's there 24/7. They're really, really good. They'll help you deliver a smoother customer journey, verify identities in 3 simple steps. You can save time and resources. You can review and approve a customer's onboarding documentation quickly, less than a minute. Melissa's flexible multi-system workflow integrates with all Android, iOS, and PC systems, as well as web form and checkout and mobile applications. They've been doing this. They're the kings of this, frankly. They've been doing it since 1985. Melissa, I guess it's Melissa, I should say the Queens, right? Actually, it's a person's last name. But anyway, it's specialized in global intelligence solutions. The founder is named Melissa. Melissa is specialized in global intelligence solutions to help organizations unlock accurate data for more compelling customer view now for, what is that, 35 years. More than. Melissa continually, they're going to have their 40th anniversary in a couple of years. Melissa continually undergoes independent security audits, so you don't have to worry. Your data is always safe. They're committed to data security, privacy, to compliance. They're SOC 2 compliant, HIPAA, GDPR compliant. Your data is in absolutely the best hands. Make sure your customer contact data is up to date. Avoid the pitfalls of fraud. Get started today with 1,000 records cleaned for free at melissa.com/twit. MELISSA, melissa.com/twit. We are so happy to partner with Melissa. They've been with us for a long time. They really are supportive of the work we do here. Thank you, Melissa. And you support them right back when you use them, and especially if you go to melissa.com/twit, because that's giving them the signal. Oh, I saw this on Twig. Oh, and that's good for us, okay? melissa.com/twit. It's a great service from great people. Thank you, Melissa. All right, let's get back to the silliness.
Oh, no, it's not silliness. It's rage. We're going back to rage.
Oh, rage. Gigi Sohn. How long? So Gigi Sohn was nominated ages ago to fill
at
an
the beginning of the
some
Biden
said not
administration.
soon enough, which is another story, but yes.
Well,
Yeah.
to fill an empty seat in the Federal Communications Commission. She's a former Democratic FCC official. She was nominated by the White House October 2021. Okay, a year and a half ago. But the problem is the telecommunications people hate her, which in my opinion makes her the perfect person for an FCC commissioner.
Yeah.
She has been consistently attacked, and the Republican Congress has blocked her.
Well, a couple Democrats also.
Yeah, Manchin and Mark Kelly. I thought more of him.
Yeah.
And yeah, here's what makes me angry. Okay, I get that politics is politics, but there was a lot talking about her personal life. She is a reformer. I would say that she's a reformer who is understanding and understands the technical aspects of telecommunications at a very deep level. Like, I've had discussions with her about carrier aggregation.
Oh, you know her.
I know her. She's great. She is smart and sharp. She is also gay. And that has come up several times, both officially and in this slimy, underhanded, like astroturfy lobbying way. And the Republicans and I am outraged that Gigi's personal life is part of this at all. And I just it's one thing. Yes, I knew that Gigi might be a hard sell because she is a reformer and she's very much, you don't get to be in charge of anything in Washington having openly stated your opinion, right? And advocated for anything. You have to be as neutral as, like, I don't know, what's something neutral?
Water.
Bread.
I was like,
Like Stacy's mom.
neutral is white bread. No, my mom is the opposite of neutral, but yes, maybe the song. You just have to be incredibly inoffensive. And yeah. I'm just so mad. We lost such an opportunity, and we haven't been able to regulate anything at the FCC for the last 2.5 years.
Which may be secondarily part of this, right? Is not just Gigi Sohn, but let's not fill this seat so that we can't get anything done.
Yeah.
She is absolutely an advocate for net neutrality. And this is something telecommunications hates. But it's something that you and I and everybody who's listening to the show should support.
Yeah, she's very pro-consumer in all of her things. And she's not afraid to call out the fact that we have basically a monopoly in our telecoms. Not a monopoly. We have a very anti-competitive telecommunications regime in the U.S.
A duopoly, in effect, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, please, like anyone's getting DSL nowadays. You're either, I mean, if you're in one of the few areas where they offer fiber.
That's a good point.
Sure.
That's actually a really good point. It used to be a duopoly. Now it's the incumbent
and Gigi
cable
was
carrier,
arguing
that's it. Yeah.
Way before, because she technically understood what was happening in broadband. Oh,
it's an acknowledgement. Unfortunately, it's an acknowledgement of the importance the FCC has to these companies, the power the commission would have if they were fully staffed and they weren't being so viciously and frankly underhandedly opposed. This isn't really about policy. This is about how we can undermine this. So it's a 2-2 split right now. Normally, the FCC has 2 Republicans, 2 Democrats, and then a chairman nominated by the incumbent party, the president, which would give it a 3-2 Democratic majority. That's exactly what Ted Cruz and Manchin don't want, right? So that's what
and I will point this out. The telecoms in the EU have managed to convince Margaret. How do we say that?
Margarita Vestager.
Yes, they've managed to convince her to listen to their arguments that Netflix should be paying them for clogging up their pipes, basically. So this is an argument that we've had for decades now in the U.S. where
it's utter BS.
Double bill.
It's double billing.
It's complete BS.
Yeah, it's utter BS.
Exactly. Yep.
But now the EU is like, oh, well, that makes sense. Okay, so keep an eye on that, because if they succeed in the EU, they're going to come right back here and be like, well, maybe now is the time. And they did it during the pandemic because people were streaming so much Netflix while businesses were trying to also do work and the broadband pipes couldn't handle it.
I guess, look, it's appalling to attack her because of her sexuality. That's ridiculous. But I guess you could make the case that this is what makes America so great, is that, you can fight something like this by spending money on billboards in Las Vegas and advertisements in West Virginia and so forth. The Center
but it's
for
not
a Free
us making that money.
No, I understand.
Or spending that money. It's corporations.
Well, okay, but
Let's talk about Citizens United.
They have a dog in the hunt.
What that did.
This actually, this isn't campaign contributions. This is literally just buying ads, which there is, even without Citizens United, has always been legal. Conservative groups, this is from the Washington Post, spent hundreds of thousands of dollars attacking Sohn as partisan and extreme, leading a campaign focused in the states of several moderate Democrats who are already on the fence about Sohn. One billboard in Las Vegas, hence Mark Kelly, Gigi Sohn is too extreme for the FCC. Was paid for by the American Accountability Foundation. The foundation and another conservative nonprofit organization, the Center for a Free Economy, placed more than $200,000 in Facebook ads opposing Sohn. The foundation ran ads last month saying she was dangerous because she served on a board that opposes anti-sex trafficking efforts. And guess what that board was? So first of all, that's not what the board was doing, but guess what the board was? The EFF. She serves on the EFF, the Electronic Frontier Foundation. Right. She's an advisor. So they said, oh, the EFF is in favor of sex trafficking, and so Gigi Sohn is in favor of sex trafficking. None of that is true.
And I would argue that, I don't know if y'all remember Copps as a commissioner, but Gigi is no more liberal than Copps, I would say. Michael Copps.
And Copps, yeah. And Trump released a statement saying how appalled he was at this.
Yeah, and he should be. I mean, they're...
We should point out that Sohn became an advisor of the EFF after the bill was signed into law by President Trump in 20 years after Trump made it a law. She also saw fierce opposition, according to the Post, from the Fraternal Order of Police, which criticized her ties to the EFF because it's opposed to breaking encryption.
Yeah, well, so are we. That means we can't be on a governmental body?
Ernesto Falcon, a senior legislative counsel at the rights group, called the Fraternal Order of Police's opposition to Sohn's nomination purely political muscle and said it wasn't based on reality or facts. This is Falcon's from the EFF.
Gigi, she founded, and I was just checking to make sure because I knew she was involved with it. She was one of the co-founders of Public Knowledge, which was a group that was all about net neutrality. It was a big advocate against Sopa Pippa. Sipa Popa.
Oh, yeah, I remember
Can't do it.
As we were.
I mean, yeah, that's
not
when I met
being
her.
in favor of sex trafficking.
Good done.
I mean, that's not even close. So really, this was a smear campaign. The problem is that the moderate Democrats are swayed by it. They're wimps, as are all politicians these days are utter wimps.
You know what, Joe Manchin, I don't know how to say his name. He is not a moderate. I don't know what he is.
No,
he
but
is
Mark Kelly is.
I know.
Jacqueline Rosen from Nevada is, and maybe there's. I mean, if you're in Nevada, I guess you might say, "Well, my seat is, it's a purple state. My seat is at risk, so I got to give in on some of these things." But these are bogus. These are totally bogus allegations. Anyway, and who loses out? We lose out because, and this is why it should be important to everybody listening. Gigi Sohn was an advocate for consumer rights, for net neutrality, for the kinds of things we want, as opposed to big telecom. Make no mistake about this. Big telecom won a massive victory here.
Okay, so with all of this said, because I hate politics and try not to pay any attention to it, and I know that makes me a bit of an idiot or whatever, but all you just said was people were slinging mud about this person.
Yes.
And why can't she just essentially just do the same thing? Because that's all it seems politics does nowadays, is somebody just throws out a bunch of
I'll tell you
outlandish, slanderous stuff. And even though it's slander, nothing ever really
I'll tell you exactly
gets
why.
done about it.
She doesn't have the 200,000
fall for it.
It's all about money. She doesn't have the $200,000 to buy the billboard across the street that says that's BS. The telecom industry spends a lot of money to make sure that Congress and the FCC does its bidding. We, as users, don't carry that much weight. Now, you have an important point, though. The weight we have is our vote.
Yeah.
And so that money would be meaningless.
Unless it's affected by the
right, but we're affected by money
and the Electoral College. But yes,
well, okay, but honestly, if we voted in great numbers in favor of net neutrality, in favor of free and fair competition among telecom companies, we would win that battle.
We win, but it keeps on being challenged again and again and again.
Yeah. This is the role of money in politics. That's the problem, man. It's the role of money in politics, ultimately.
I'm going to sound insensitive, and I'm not trying to be, but I don't like the fact that she bowed out of this because of all of this ridiculous pressure.
Well, she didn't want to. She went on for 18 months.
Nothing is facts.
She wasn't going to win.
It's the whole line of, what do you believe in and what are you going to fight for? And she sounds like she's the perfect person to fight for all of these issues.
You're told to back out.
You're told to back out.
You're holding up the chance to put somebody in. So you get the chance
even
to
more of a
graciously back
system.
out. She fought for a long time.
No nominee will survive 18 months of this kind of stuff. No. You just can't. In fact, I was surprised they lasted this long. It's because Biden really wanted her in that she was able to.
Biden's under criticism too for not having supported enough, not having gone to the mat enough.
Yeah, he could have gone to the mattresses. Is that a phrase? Gone to the
Matt. So going to the mattresses is when you're getting ready for a gang war. So when the Sopranos go to the mattresses, or in The Godfather, when they go to the mattresses, the Corleones go to the mattresses, that's because we're having a gang war. When you go to the mat, it's a wrestling metaphor, isn't it, Jeff?
I feel like they should have gone to the mattresses. I would have gone to the mattresses for Gigi. He's totally worth it. I would have gone straight out.
But that's
I would have
all
met
I'm
with
saying.
all
It
of my
just
hardware
seems
and
like
gone.
I know there's a lot of money involved, but man, we the people get outraged over so much stuff that is way smaller in value. You know, where's the outrage from we the people on this? Where's the outrage where we can actually get in and raise these $200,000, $500,000?
Well, you're right.
Well, Mr. Ant, there's a lot of outrage about I don't know, Google, Twitter, and so on and so forth. But the company we all universally hate is our phone company. The companies that try to ruin the internet is the phone company.
Yeah.
The companies that spend this fortune on lobbying to kill things like net neutrality is the phone company. We hate Ma Bell's children, but they cleverly managed to get away with it a lot more than the tech companies these days.
Yeah.
You know, and you're actually raising the most important point, and it speaks directly to what you said about I don't like this stuff. I hate this stuff, and I don't blame you. I don't blame you. And that's exactly what these companies want. They want you to say it's too complicated, it's too contentious. It doesn't affect me. Screw it. And so there's really only one way they can win. If you and others like you don't get educated and don't vote, if you don't participate. So because they've got all the money, they've got the war chest, they buy these ads, but it's also in their interest, I think, to keep people unhappy, to keep people dismissive of politics. You can't win. You can't make a difference. I'm not going to vote. And that's really the ultimate way to win, because the truth is,
I'm going to tell you, that's a lot of my thinking, sir. A lot of my thinking is, man, my vote, I know it counts, but I hardly ever go into any voting scenario with faith.
Yeah, and that's why it's really our job, I believe, in the media, to convince people like you. You're the target. We said you're the most normal person on the show. You're the target. To convince people like you that not only does your vote count, it's the only way to win against deep pockets. And so but it's hard, explaining net neutrality. I've been doing this for 10 years, trying to explain net neutrality. It's very, very difficult. And companies make it even more difficult with giveaways, explaining zero rating. Yeah, explaining zero rating to people is very hard. This is where T-Mobile says, hey, by the way, you're going to get a year free at Disney Plus, and it's not going to count against your data cap. And so that's all called zero rating. It's a way that T-Mobile can put their thumb on the scale and make consumers go, well, there's nothing wrong with that. I like that. And so it's a very difficult thing, but we have to do better. I think media has to do better educating people about what net neutrality means, why this is so important, especially we on the internet, we who use the internet to broadcast, to write, to communicate, because it really is one of the most important issues that the FCC has to deal with right now. And ultimately, and this is what the EFF said, by the way, in response to Sohn's withdrawal. This is the guy I just quoted from the EFF Falcon. He said, it's never been about Gigi Sohn. It's always been about preventing the FCC from doing its job. These companies,
that's what it sounds like.
Yes,
right?
Yep. They don't want regulation. They've got the money to buy the billboards, to convince
and buy the politicians.
But they bought
Ajit Pai. Good Lord.
But honestly, if people voted, money's only good to the extent that it sways people's votes. If people voted, ultimately, that's the only real currency in any of this, is your vote.
Well, as people vote and become more successful, what we're seeing is then an attack on voting rights. We cannot solve this here. But
that was the other part, is some people, it's apparently is a struggle just to be able to go and vote.
Well, that should tell you something. That means your vote is valuable, because they're putting a lot of effort into keeping you from voting, especially as a black person.
Yeah.
They do not want black people voting in this country. So that should tell you your vote is valuable. Everybody's vote is valuable. And I would have no fear for this country at all if everybody voted and everybody got educated before they voted. That would be the best thing possible.
Well, that's the other piece is education.
Yeah, the education.
They're attacking education.
I absolutely hated reading all of those daggum pamphlets and arguments, prior to voting, because everybody's going to, again, throw mud first and foremost before presenting any type of facts. And then you finally get to the facts to figure out, okay, why am I voting on this? Why does this matter to me? Why does this matter to my family? So on and so forth. I hated reading those things, but you have to, though. What's that?
The League of Women Voters pamphlets. Those are relatively neutral, I would say. And then if you have
hadn't seen that. I just get whatever comes in the mail, and then I go online and try to look at multiple different sources because, I don't want to just
look at the League of Women Voters. I don't know if did they start because they were trying to educate women?
Yes.
When we finally got the vote, oh my God, was it only a century ago?
Yeah, that's a very trustworthy and I would say nonpartisan source.
Yeah.
I also go to a place called Ballotpedia, which I recommend to everybody.
I've seen Ballotpedia.
Yeah, also really all about not partisan, not arguing one way or the other, but just about giving you the information. Because it's hard to get that information. We're dealing with this right now with Michael, who just got the right to vote, last year's 20.
Yeah, talk about vulnerable.
Yeah. And so, and Lisa's great. Lisa's so good with this because she sat down with his ballot. She said, let's go over each of these issues. Let me show you how to research it. Let me show you. And then she said, so now that you know this, what do you think? And he'd say, well, here's what I think. And we say, good. Check that box then. And I think every parent needs to do this with their kids when they turn 18.
We do it before. I do it when I'm voting.
When I was a kid, when our kids were little, I would take them to the voting booth with me. Absolutely. I wanted them to understand this is the single most important thing you do in a democracy. This is the
this is your job.
This is your job. It's your job. Paying taxes and voting, and it's the lifeblood. And if you don't like the taxes, then vote.
Right.
All of it. The problem is it's really easy to think, well, it doesn't matter. I don't see the impact. And honestly, and I think this is the intent, when you flood the zone with BS, people throw up their hands. They say, screw it. So this is the Vladimir Putin's strategy. This is the trolls' strategy. This is to some degree the political party strategies these days. And this is where I think Twitter went wrong. You flood the zone with so much conflict and BS that you go, screw that. I'm done. Yeah. And you know what? Yeah. I'm going to keep my head down. I'm going to do my job. I'm going to feed my family. I'm going to, watch a movie on Saturday night.
Yep. Have a whiskey, have a cigar.
Yep. And I completely understand that.
Life.
I often wonder how people who live in places like Putin's Russia survive. And that's how you survive. You say,
you trust nothing. It's not.
Well, not even that. It doesn't affect me. I got the potatoes to harvest. I'm going to make my vodka. We'll see you later. And unfortunately, I see especially smart geeks. This is very common among people who love technology in our audience. They go, it's just a cesspool. Screw it.
Yeah.
But that's how people like Donald Trump get elected. Is the lack of involvement among people who know
It's not so
better.
much who votes, but who chooses not to vote.
Right.
Makes that happen.
Well said, Mr. Jarvis.
And, by the way, the political parties know this, and so they carefully tailor their message to get the voters they want to the polls, which is why all these social issues are taking the fore, because that's a hot-button issue that can get you out to the polls.
It galvanizes people.
Galvanizes people, right?
Okay, back to Google.
And there's your civics lesson for today. Anyway, it's sad about Gigi Sohn.
I didn't know you knew Senator, her. How's a bill made?
I'm just a bill on Capitol Hill. It's too bad,
All I know is I turn on a light switch and something shows up in the mail and says I owe X amount of dollars. That's the only bill.
Did you have Schoolhouse Rock when you were a kid, Aunt?
Yes.
I know you did, Stacey. Yeah.
Yes.
So Aunt and I are about the same age.
Oh, he's so much older than you, isn't he?
No, I think he might be younger.
I think we're roughly the same age.
I'm trolling.
I never divulge.
I'm trolling. Yeah, Schoolhouse Rock educated your whole generation. But they don't do that anymore, do they? Look at that.
I mean,
here's the Schoolhouse Rock channel on YouTube, 11,000 subscribers. Of course, they only have 9 videos. It's not the official one. I don't know if there is an official one.
it's probably on HBO, just like Sesame Street now. Okay.
Yeah.
So the Washington Post had a story today. Slavery was wrong, and 5 other things some educators won't teach anymore.
Yeah.
Ooh, I saw this. This did feel a little bit like people prodding to get.
It's a lifestyle story.
Media coverage.
Yeah.
I mean, like I read the story. The guy was like, he went in, he's like, so I can't say slavery is wrong. And they're like, well, that's an opinion, but it was a conversation about. I mean, do I think this is a good trend? No.
Yes.
I would have never clicked on it.
I will also say that when we talk about your voice matters and voting, the culture warriors, for the lack of a better word, who are against, who are trying. I'm going to just say many
Trans.
of them are racist.
Just say trans, because this is so
I was thinking
appalling.
people who are like CRT, trans, anti-trans people. They're crusading. They're doing this at a local level and going into. If you read some of the stories about what's happening at school boards, like they're actually creating grassroots efforts that then go into individual communities, find a point person to then go to the school board and be like, and then they back them up with all of their resources. So they have tremendous resources to then create this outrage about making white people feel uncomfortable learning about slavery, which, you know what? It is uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable. And it should be.
I like to use because
uncomfortable for black folks to hear about it.
Yeah.
Sure. I like to use transgender stuff. The sudden increase in anti-trans legislation as a real proxy for this, because I can tell you right now, nobody has ever been damaged in any way by somebody deciding how to express their gender. That's a personal decision. It doesn't really change anybody's life.
Well,
right?
what they've done is correlate that to sexual predation.
Yes, understand.
Even though there's no
evidence
documentation
of that,
there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this has been a very effective hot button because people have a visceral reaction when they see somebody who's trans. They often have a visceral reaction. And the right has seen, this is useful. We can use this emotional reaction. And they've gone, in fact, if you look, they've gone state by state to convince states that, these people are dangerous and you need to pass bills against them. It's not really because trans people are dangerous to the right or to anybody else. It has nothing to do with that. And that's really the most important thing to understand. It's a way of getting people upset so that they will vote our party into office. And that's the real goal, because nobody's worried about trans people making a bad thing happen. It's not. At drag shows, perfect example. Who cares?
Yeah, that stuff going on in Nashville.
Who cares if somebody dresses up like a woman and does a show? That's fun. That's entertainment. Didn't you see Some Like It Hot? It's entertainment.
Right.
Didn't you see Milton Berle? It's entertainment. But if we can get people upset about it, then we can get them to vote.
And their votes.
And then we can do what we really want to do, which in my opinion is to give the telecommunications companies free rein, eliminate regulation, reduce taxes. It's a better than a smoke screen. It's a trick, and it's a very effective trick. And unfortunately, the real sad thing is there are trans kids and there are drag queens who are completely and utterly harmless. Have you ever met a harmful drag queen? They are completely and utterly harmless, who are being murdered, who are being prevented from medical care, who are being severely damaged by this, and it's all for a very cynical political ploy. And that's the exact example of this. We'll leave race out of it because that's a hot button topic. It's the same thing, by the way. The same thing's happening. But no one can say drag queens are hazardous. They're not. They're not.
They could be hazardous to your ego.
They're too damn beautiful. So, and I have to tell you, watch out, because this is happening right now. Look what's going on in Florida right now. This is a pre-Nazi state now.
Yes.
This is exactly what was going on in 1930s Germany.
Read Hannah Arendt.
And it is really concerning. And I feel for anybody living in Florida, but especially if you're gay, if you're a minority of any kind in Florida.
I know parents of trans kids in Florida, and they just don't know what to do.
What do? You can't, and if you're a student and you want to read a book, you can't read A Wrinkle in Time. I mean, what are we doing? That's nuts. But I have to say, after thinking long and hard, is this really because they hate drag queens? Is this because they hate? No, it's about getting in office so that they can. Their real agenda, which is
I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it, and I don't mean as a joke this time. It is the essence of moral panic. You convince people that there's something that is a threat to society. There's a folk devil who is that threat. Doesn't matter who it is. It could be Jews in Germany. It could be trans people here.
Yeah, Jews weren't the real problem in Germany. That wasn't the point, right?
Newsflash.
That's a really good example. Yeah, it's a really good example. And it breaks my heart because I think it's so damaging. You can't read Brave New World in Florida? What are you talking about? That's insane.
Okay. We have to get off this because I'm just going to have to go drink right after this call, and I've got to make dinner and do things.
I'm looking at my desk and bottles empty.
But what I'm really saying is this is an excuse not to drink, not to go unconscious, but to get conscious and to act and to do something about it. Because if you don't vote, this just spreads. It was the good Germans.
Yeah.
It was the good Germans who said, "Well, it's not going to affect me."
I think personally, as someone who is younger and a little bit, I have to live in this. I can't count on dying, and I've got a kid. I think in addition to voting, you actually have to get out and take action in terms of, you have to go to the mattresses. No, you have to go to protests. You have to actively call your regulators, your legislators.
The most important thing though is that you cannot despair, because that's when they win, when you give up. You can't allow yourself to give up. That's all.
Yeah, okay.
And so that's what I would say to you, Aunt. I know, it's really tempting. I give up all the time.
Don't give up, Aunt.
It's hard not to despair. And as it gets worse, which it will, it's going to get harder.
I'm going to continue to vote. That's no
at least. And be active and speak up.
I've earned that right. Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I keep dropping expletives.
Well, you're allowed to now.
This one,
we're way more than 15
Renee Ritchie, we must have invoked him. I must have said his name 3 times. It showed up in our Discord and said, what? You need me? What do you need?
Hi, Renee.
He's going to be on Twit in a couple of weeks, so we'll get to say hi and talk about all sorts of stuff. But he's going to be on the big show.
Google knows all. They heard you say it.
Hey, speaking of Google.
We do?
Well,
do we?
Google I.O. is coming May 10th. Did you get an invite, Jeff?
Small audience, they said. Did you?
Jason Howell did, and he's going to be going, and we're going to cover it. Yes, Jason's going.
Oh, I'm so jealous, Jason.
It's one day.
Oh, you know what?
It's another one of these things. Should we do the puzzle? What?
Oh, no, I was looking for my thing. I was like, I didn't know where. I think I got an invite.
Look and see.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Look and see. You could come down for that. Spend a day with us. So
I could. Sorry.
And if you don't, you can come on with. In fact, I'd like to invite you too, Jeff, to do our coverage, because we'll stream the keynote, presuming that they stream it. And we will have.
Yeah, they're going to. They are going to.
And I'm very pleased to say we will have Mr. Jason Howell.
Jason and I used to have such fun hanging out there together.
Me too. It was so much fun. It's not the Google I.O. of years gone by this year, right?
Well, they're going to have to do better than they did with their BARD presentation in Paris.
Yeah. Keynotes will be live and available on demand.
We all have bad presentations, Jeff.
There was no Google I.O. in 2020 because of the COVID pandemic. There was a small on-campus stage in 2021 we covered it with Google folks there. They went back to the Shoreline last year, but only had a few people at the event to watch live, and it was a one-day event. I think it's going to be similar. The quote, limited live audience. Shoreline keynote, Sundar Pichai. We don't know the time. I think 10 a.m. On May 10th. But this is where Google announces. This is, I think, given how soon it is, this is probably where we're going to hear more about Bard. Because remember, Google kind of missed the boat a little bit when ChatGPT.
Or Google very wisely said, we're the careful one, we're the responsible one. But Microsoft is not. Microsoft is
well, they're
rushing
saying
into
it
this
now.
stuff. No, they were saying it. They said it during the Bard presentation too.
Yeah.
I was thinking, Leo. You probably hate this idea, but this being This Week in Google, what if we had kind of a special show about what you would do to fix Google?
Oh. Who would we have
that
on?
requires prep, not punditry.
Oh, you're right. Oh, never mind. Oh, golly, you're right. Shoot. Gosh darn it. Forgot all about that. Could you do the prep for us, Stacy, and then just tell us what we should say?
I mean, I could do some prep. I'm happy
give us
to
some
give
notes.
it a good think.
A good
That's all you need is a good thing.
I'll have a good think on it. Maybe do some
have
interviews.
a good think. Well, actually, I think part of this would be getting the right people on.
Yes, that'd be
people who have
interesting.
been
Have some folks
outspoken,
on.
like Mike Elgin, who says Sundar Pichai is the worst CEO in Silicon Valley. Maybe we should get Blake Lemoine. The Google engineer was fired for saying land to ascension.
No.
Right.
But we
Kevin
could also
Marks,
use the
who
fact
used to
that we
work
have
at
this
Google.
Zoom structure now. We can have people call in for a few minutes with their
why don't you
suggestions.
get what's her name? Timnit.
Timnit Gebru. Yeah, and Margaret
there you
Schmitchell.
go.
Yeah.
And Margaret Schmitchell and Emily Bender.
I think,
talked
to
about
be
last
fair,
week.
you're right. We're just pundits. But we have heard all of those voices on this show expressed, right? We've talked about stochastic parrots and Timnit's point, and I think we've represented them well.
Yeah.
It was a joke more in the sense that
Oh yeah, well it
I don't
hurt
know.
like hell, and I'm just
I'm
gonna.
like the prep work that we do here for I don't know if I'm doing the prep work where I would feel confident saying
No, me neither.
you
No,
know.
I agree
I
with you
think
on
we can
that.
think it through.
But
But next Friday, the 17th, is Stochastic Parrots Day.
Oh, they
do
have
we
a
get to go?
3-hour event.
Arg.
not stochastic pirates, stochastic
Oh.
parrots.
Dang it.
Here's the Google I/O announcement. There's something going on here. I don't know what this is. Usually they have a puzzle to solve, right? Okay, they're counting down the time. What's this? Oh, that's the sound.
That's mute. You know what a mute button is.
Oh, wait a
Jeez.
minute. What is this? I could change the beats? Wait a minute. This is 23. Oh, these are previous IOs. What the heck is this? I don't know what's going on. Google's so cute. They do all this fun stuff. Anyway, we are
I think whoever
63
does the
days,
puzzles got laid off.
17 hours, yeah, right. 4 minutes and 14 seconds away from Google I/O. And we will cover it. We will cover the live stream. We will have our commentary here. I'll just stop that right now. Thank you. No, stop it right now. Thank you. Tick, tick,
Yeah,
tick.
ticking clock is going to make Stacy think that the show should be over. So you don't want that.
One way to hustle through the show would be to our second ad. How about that? That'll keep things moving along. What do you think? Only an hour and 16
But it's
in.
only 4:00.
What the heck? How could it be? Actually, I want to tell you about a new tool that we are using here at Twit to prepare our Ask the Tech Guys show. Mike and I are doing it. It's really cool. And it's a sponsor. I was not familiar with them. I think I'd heard the name, but I was not really familiar with them. Called Miro, Miro. But we realized one of the hardest things about doing Miro, talking about Miro, about doing an ad for Miro, is what is Miro? Because it's anything you want it to be. Well, that helps a lot. I guess it looks like, at first glance, a simple digital whiteboard. But it's so much more than that. Miro is essentially a collaboration tool, a very, very visual online collaboration tool that teams can use for brainstorming, to create a new product, to innovate, to organize meetings. They have timers built in, so you can, just like Stacy did with the Elon story, you can time your conference call. They have all sorts of tools to help you. They integrate with so many cool things. But I just don't know how to describe it. We're going to have to show you. We're working with Miro on an Ask the Tech Guys board. You could do it as a mood board. You could do it as a Kanban board, so you keep track of projects, brainstorming, designing. You can use it for icebreakers. The best thing, maybe go to Miro, and by the way, the website miro.com/podcast, so we get credit for it. And then take a look at what they call the Miroverse. This is a place where others have posted their templates, and this will give you kind of an idea of the kinds of things you could do. Mind mapping, gender balance quiz retrospective, empathy map, product designer self-evaluation, hyper-focus, character mix and match icebreaker. There are lots of icebreakers on here. They're fun things you can do. Some of them a little weird. Here's a Beatles retrospective. I've mentioned this before. The weirdest one from me was the Harry Potter retrospective created by the UK government. But I think they did it for brainstorming purposes. Here's a Chinese New Year from a lead scrum master. You could even play Connect 4 if you wanted to. A great way to plan, to design, to think, to make the kinds of work that we hate here, that thing called prepping, the thing called thinking, to make it easier so you can get the job done. And you'll all be viewing and sharing the same big picture, which is nice. Everyone will have a voice. Everyone can tap into that single source of truth. It's great for a team because your team stays engaged and invested and happy. It is a fun way to work together. Cut out any confusion on who needs to do what by mapping out processes and roles and timelines. There's a swim lane template you can use, or a Kanban board. Strategic planning is easier because it's visual. Humans are visual, frankly. And this is a tool you can use on a big screen, on a laptop, a desktop, on a whiteboard, because it's a virtual whiteboard. You can use it on one of those Google, TV screens they have to work together. But in a way, it's kind of like that, even if you're in different places. For, hybrid work, this is a great way of having all the team together in one space. And you don't have to worry whether they have legs or not, because it's not virtual reality. Although I wouldn't be surprised if they have some ideas about that. Tap into a way to map processes, systems, and plans of the whole team, so they not only view it, but have a chance to give feedback as well. And if you are feeling meeting fatigue, you will love Miro, because it makes meetings more fun and more effective and shorter. Miro users report saving up to 80 hours per user per year just because of those streamlined conversations. Are you ready to be part of the more than 1 million users who use Miro every month to solve problems, to get their work done, to have fun, to play? Work should be play, shouldn't it? It can be with Miro. We'll show you. We're still working on our Ask the Tech Guys board. When it's done, we'll show you. I'm very excited about that. Get your first 3 boards for free. Oh, did I mention that? Yeah, your first 3 boards free, so you can try it and really get a sense of it. I think it's a great thing because I know it's kind of like what? It's whatever you need it to be, whatever you want it to be. You start working together better. Miro.com/podcast. Miro is MIRO. Miro.com/podcast. Very cool. Very fun thing. And we've started to use it as a company and really getting a lot of mileage out of it, I think. Miro.com/podcast. Highly recommended. Okay. Facebook. Remember I said Jan LeCun, who's in charge of AI at Facebook, his first reaction to ChatGPT was, well, we can do that. We can do that. We could always do that. Well, apparently they could. And now we know because their large language model has leaked online. It was posted on 4chan. Facebook has been just like Google, very careful about it. Unlike Microsoft, they've been very careful about who has access to it. And what they would do is you'd have to apply and they'd give you approval. Researchers have been using it, government officials, members of civil society. Apparently somebody put it up on 4chan. It's the first time, according to Vice, a major tech firm's proprietary AI model has leaked to the public. Even when you use
how many could actually do much with it?
Well, it doesn't matter if a lot of people can. It's just that
some people can.
Right.
4chan members say like they're running it on their own machines. Bomb. Yeah, right. It's the bomb plans. Yeah. And of course, it's probably competitively difficult because I'm sure researchers from the other companies have immediately taken a look at it. There are different sizes.
What sets theirs apart? Do we know yet?
No, I haven't heard from anybody who's played with it to see. But part of the reason is Facebook has been very clear that if you use this in any way, you're in deep doo-doo. They're issuing takedown requests, and I think that they have said to some people, "You better not. You better not." Clement DeLong, who's the CEO of Hugging Face, that's the Stable Diffusion company.
Stable Diffusion.
Yeah, posted a staff update from GitHub regarding the repository. Company Meta Platforms has requested a takedown of this published model, characterizing it as an unauthorized distribution of Meta properties that constitutes copyright infringement or improper authorized use, and cautioned users against not only using it but uploading any weights to the internet. Facebook acted very quickly on this.
And it's not something you can really, because I know it's not necessarily training, but you're still running a pretty large model. You need some serious compute horsepower. Not saying that, but it's not necessarily like something an individual could do. You need access to some.
And I don't know because I'm a moron, but with Stable Diffusion anyway, which I have installed and used, you can download other models. They call them checkpoints, but you can download you can download a model that's trained on a series of images from anime, and then you have more of an anime flavor to the stuff that's generated by it. I don't know if it's in that state. It's not clear to me, but it is possible to boil these large language models down in such a way that you can use them with the proper front end.
Yes. I think, didn't Qualcomm just say they're, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Stacey.
I think they're running Stable Diffusion on a phone. It would be an Android phone.
I have it right now on my iPhone. There is a program, free, open source, called Draw Things that's Stable Diffusion on an iPhone.
So Qualcomm had to tweak its stuff to make sure it was up to Apple's.
It works fine.
Apple's Bionic, whatever.
Yeah, it works. Anything with a neural processor should be able to do it. Let me see if I can find the. It's called Draw Things, and it if you've ever used Stable Diffusion, you'll recognize it immediately. That's the Stable Diffusion interface, and you can even download other checkpoints. So you get to choose the models, and there's different versions of Stable Diffusion available. These models are big, 1.6 gigs, but there's quite a few. So this is the full Stable Diffusion running. And by the way, I should point out, in reasonable time on an iPhone. This is an iPhone 14 Pro Max. I mean, it's the high-end iPhone, but it doesn't take long. This is a little Christmas card I made out of cut paper. But that's a simple prompt. You can have more complicated prompts featuring Stacy's mom. What do you think it's going to do with that? I don't know.
I really don't know.
I don't know if we want to know.
Fountains of Wayne spells their Stacy without the superfluous E.
Oh, so it's not your mom. It's somebody else's mom.
It's another Stacy.
It's some
mom.
other,
You're right.
Some other Stacy. And it has all the parameters that you normally have with Stable Diffusion and stuff. It's fun. It's So yeah, Qualcomm finally figured out how to put it on an Android device.
Okay, yeah. Well, I was like,
we've had that forever.
Like we can show it off.
Yeah,
it does it in under 15 seconds.
Can I ask a question? I understand how large language models make tokens for words and data about the relationships among the words. How does a visual one work? What's a token in the learning set for a visual?
It depends on if it's for photos versus videos, 2D versus 3D. The most basic. All right, so like a 2D facial kind of model thing, or even something like object detection. They're creating relationships between significant things on a face for facial recognition. So they're looking for like eyes, and so they're doing like the distance between your eyes and your mouth and your nose. So that's what they're doing. Are they trained
on the idea of the eye and recognizing what an eye is?
I think they pick out the eye on their own in the model. Like you show them enough faces and they're like, well, all these faces seem to have these things. And then to understand the difference, they figure out those relationships. On like the 3D models, which are used for like video, it's more complex. And usually what happens is the computer it will identify things like eyes and stuff, but then you're also writing code to recognize that the object has not permanence, something beyond the flatness of it. Does that depth? That's the word.
There's a short video on YouTube associated with a larger article from Louis Bouchard. How AI generates new images. GANs, simply put, is Louis, LOUISBOUCHARD.ai. And you can find him
to generate
on
new
YouTube.
images. We use an architecture called generative adversarial network.
And guess what?
It works
he is
with
French.
A generator composed of an encoder and a decoder. Both are
I didn't understand you, sir. As are you.
Anyway, you can watch this. You know what? YouTube is really good for this subject, by the way. There's some really fantastic explaining.
Well, I also want to get the TikTok person I sent you on about AI.
Is it in the? Look, here's Jeff's giant.
Oh God!
Edition.
What?
Well, what? Can we just? Because Stacey, I feel the pain. I feel your pain. Here is
I'm
a TikTok waffle maker.
This goes on for quite a while.
He's actually taking an old waffle maker that he bought somewhere, and
it's called a waffle iron.
Waffle ironer. Yeah. And waffles aren't flat. Why would you use an iron? So anyway, he's gonna clean it up. He's gonna fix it up. He's gonna buff it up. I hope at the end there's waffles. I'm just hoping. It's 7 minutes and 29 seconds.
When did TikTok allow you to do 7 minutes?
That's been a long time.
I watched it all.
Look at that. Look how cleaned up it is now.
Isn't that gorgeous?
Ooh,
it's pretty.
It's beautiful. Oh, here's the batter.
He does make it.
It's going into the waffler. Look at those.
Did he heat it beforehand? And that's like
listen
old
to the sizzle.
school.
Oh, yeah.
You don't hear that sizzle?
Don't you heat your waffler first? You always heat it first. Look at that. Oh, that's good. It's going to squish out the sides, though. He's put too much of the batter in, I think. Yeah. Oh, no, maybe not. Look at that.
Oh, no, he knows what he's doing.
He knows what he's doing. And
he or she.
Old Things Never Die is the name of this TikTok, which I'm going to follow. Absolutely. _. Stacy.
Isn't that a beautiful piece of art?
That's perfect.
Is that like the Liege waffle? It's a little thin.
He's putting some noisette et coco on there, little bon maman, a little to the rest
that
of
waffle
us.
fits in his hand. It's too small. It's too small.
That is fair. I did already have my waffle for the show, so this was good that I saw this now. Because otherwise,
I did it for you, Stacey. I did it for you.
I own. It's in a cupboard underneath the counter because we never do it. But one of those wafflers.
100 things you own.
It's a round Belgian waffler that you pour the thing in, and then you wait, and then you flip it over. Has a handle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we use ours quite regularly.
Good, isn't
more
it?
so Hardhead does.
I used to use it when
calories.
Before I realized it was making me extremely fat, and when the kids were little, because I don't mind making my kids fat, so. Yeah. Did you see big story in Politico? This was kind of a shocker about doorbells, the privacy loophole in your doorbell. Now, maybe this is a one-off.
We've talked about this on our show forever. Yeah. I mean, this is an example of what I have long said about giving police initial access to these videos. Once you have a camera in your home, if someone decides there's a reason to subpoena that data, they can get it.
They can do
Not just that.
It's kind of like.
Not just that. So he had a Ring video doorbell, and it was among 21 Ring cameras. He had 21 Ring cameras in and around his home and business. The police were conducting, they said, a drug-related investigation on a neighbor and asked for videos of suspicious activity between 5 and 7 p.m. on one particular night. He said, fine, I got it. He sent the clips in. In fact, there was a car that drove by 12 times in that 2-hour time frame. He thought that was all the police would need. Politico said they asked for more footage, now from an entire day's worth of records. A week later, he received a notice from Ring. The company had received a warrant approved by a judge saying, we want footage from all the cameras, inside and out. Whether you want to or not, we're going to share it. So this is the biggest loophole of all. Not only, can they come to you and say, give us the video, they can subpoena Ring. And apparently, they can subpoena with a fishing expedition that says, hey, while we're at it, let's see what you're doing. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
This is why you don't put that sort of stuff inside. This is why I don't put that stuff in my home.
Yeah. So Lisa long ago forbade cameras inside the house, rightly so. And we had cameras everywhere because I just was silly. And I'm glad now. And in fact, when we,
guy.
Yeah, well, and what could possibly go wrong? And then, and why would anybody want to see what's going on inside our house? Well, apparently it doesn't matter, right? Because maybe something happened outside and they said, well, we should just, let's just see what happened inside too.
Well, and if you start thinking, if you take this even further, you could say, hey, is this person maybe a person of interest in something else?
Right.
Maybe we can exert a little pressure on them by doing this.
A fishing expedition.
Yes.
And it's not legal.
Why would that be a problem?
I
don't understand.
Yeah. Apparently, according to Politico, all the U.S. state privacy laws, from the strictest regulations in California to the industry-backed law in Virginia, include exemptions if law enforcement asks. So really, you're depending on the judge to have the sense to say, well, why would you want that? And this judge apparently did not.
Or you're depending upon the legislature to have done a decent job of protecting your privacy, like
good
Carl
news,
Bode said in last week's piece. But
no legislature in any of the states has done that. Congress has Ed Markey actually sent a statement with the article. He's a Democrat from Massachusetts. They are part of an ever-expanding web of surveillance in communities across America. I've been ringing alarms about this company's threats to our privacy and civil liberties for years.
Good. I see what you did there, Ed.
So this is something that's going to happen this year. Y'all should all prep yourself. Just last week on Wednesday, the White House put out their national cybersecurity strategy for the year, and part of it was privacy. We have historically in the U.S. focused on cybersecurity as without looking at privacy, without regulating anything related to privacy, even though they are closely related. But this year we're actually getting to that. We see it with the White House calling for legislation and rules around rulemaking around privacy, individual privacy and data privacy for connected devices. The CSA, the organization behind Matter, has started a privacy working group. And something else just happened related to this that I can't remember.
Does our leadership really understand the difference between security versus privacy?
I should point out that Congress did have a privacy law, which was killed in committee. But even that national privacy law had a loophole for police warrants.
Well, yes. Although, if you want to just get around giving company data to the police, you can just be like, okay, fine. We're just not going to do it, like Volkswagen did with the carjacking case.
And then what?
Did y'all see this?
And then what happened?
So Volkswagen, they basically, a woman, she was pregnant, just to add insult to injury here, with a 2-year-old in her new Volkswagen with location tracking, was carjacked. And when she told the police, and they took the car with her 2-year-old strapped inside his car seat. So when she went to the police called Volkswagen, and they're like, we know you have the Find My feature. Can you please tell us where this car is? There's a child inside. And this was the police, not the woman. And then Volkswagen's, it wasn't Volkswagen, it was the contractor who's working for them under the service, said, no, you she didn't activate it, so you have to pay us $150 to get this information.
Oh, yeah.
And the police were like, okay,
we'll
fine.
pass.
No, they actually paid the fee because they wanted to find the kid. But obviously that was not an ideal scenario. And now Volkswagen says that everybody who buys their cars with this service now gets it for free for 5 years because they really feel bad about screwing this one up so much.
So basically, Congress is never going to pass, nor any state legislature, a law that says, no, the police can't get it with a duly signed approved warrant. They're never going to do that. So that's going to happen. Companies do push back. Even Ring pushes back. Ring says, they've said no in the past. They've stopped reporting on how many they've said no to of late. But they have pushed back in the past, and companies have the right to do that. But I think most of the time, why would a company go out on a limb to protect me unless it became a problem for their business that nobody was buying Ring doorbells because of it? But why would Amazon go out on a limb if there's a warrant from law enforcement signed by a judge saying, give us Leo's inside cameras too? I doubt they're going to push back on that. Maybe they are. I don't know why they.
Well, they do.
What would their incentive
They do
be?
have encrypted video. Scooter X just brought this up, and he's right. So Ring tries to get you not to encrypt your video. I'll be honest, because they explain all the things that will happen.
Right.
But if they did encrypt the video, so I guess if you want cameras inside your home, if you turned on, Ring does offer the encryption service. Now, the danger is that if you don't have access to your phone or if you don't have your password and that sort of thing, you can't unencrypt it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But that is an
the court
option.
can force you to unencrypt it.
So I have a
Or send you
Google.
to jail if you don't. Right?
I mean, can the court force you to open up your phone? If the answer on that seems to be no, then
Is it?
why? Yeah, you can't.
They can't ask you for the
incriminate
password.
yourself.
No, that's
Yeah, they
no
can't ask you for the
password.
password.
Yeah.
So in that case, then that would be precedent for not getting access to those videos if they were already encrypted.
This is why end-to-end encryption is such a hot topic, and we'll go back to Gigi Sohn.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this is why this is such a hot topic. I don't care what the Fraternal Order of Police says. We need to have end-to-end encryption. This protects your privacy in so many cases, and that's a good thing. I have a Google Hello doorbell. I've never seen any offer to encrypt my videos. I didn't put the Nest cams back up, though. I had taken them down. I think we still, I have one looking at me right now. We still have them here in the studio for security reasons. It's just, and maybe this is a completely isolated case, but this guy, Larkin, quite reasonably is pissed because he has no say in this, and all the footage that's set back up to the Ring server from the cameras in his home and his business are now being just, whoop, here you go, sent off to law enforcement, even though this is a crime that he has nothing to do with. In fact, those cameras from the business aren't even in the same neighborhood, but they got it all. That's just not okay.
I mean, when I ran local sites, the worst offenders in subpoenaing us for information for chatters' IP addresses were cops.
The police.
Yeah.
It was because it was cops seeking other cops who were gossiping about them.
Oh dear. Well, that's another problem.
The lieutenant would say, somebody in this department is saying bad things about me, and I'm going to find them, and their ass is grass, and then come after us.
Great.
So we started erasing data.
Yeah, as a journalist, you don't keep, I don't keep my notes. I have a very strict, every 6 months or so, if a story's done, I chunk my notes because I don't want to have that information available. Which
is a shame for the books you want to write, or
I don't want to write any books, but yes.
Well, you never know, though. You might down the road.
wants you to write those things.
You will.
I had that interview with Gigi Sohn, and she became the first woman to live on Mars, and I wish I had my interview notes. You never know, right? You don't know. Here's some good news. We need some good news. Sure.
Yes, we do. Jeez.
Well, I know she has notes from an interview with Gigi Sohn, so I put 2 and 2 together. That's all. The Rest of the World, which is a good chance for us to plug restoftheworld.org. Which
is amazing.
It is a really great nonprofit news gathering site that's
founded by Eric Schmidt's daughter.
Eric Schmidt's daughter. Okay.
Yes.
And the
yes.
point of it really is to give more coverage to global stories. They just got $200,000 from Ford Foundation to expand coverage of how tech is impacting workers all over the world. This fellowship will help them hire reporters all over the world to enhance their coverage. It's a 1-year reporting fellowship at restofworld.org. I really need to check Rest of World on my daily beat checks because there's really great stuff. Global tech stories. TikTok's viral monks are clashing with Buddhist authorities.
I didn't see that one yet.
Superstar monks have built massive followings, but dancing, singing, and fame-seeking are all violations of the monastic code. So don't you be TikToking, buddy. This is Cambodian monks. Wow. Bo Paisi has a nightly ritual. After finishing his schoolwork and prayers, the 22-year-old Cambodian monk disappears into his room with his Android phone, locks the door, and sits on his bed. In years gone by, that would have meant something else. But no, today, for hours, he edits TikTok videos for his 132,000 followers to watch before they fall asleep. And I have to say, because I have many friends who follow various monks and wise people on TikTok, that's good, right? He's spreading the Dharma in a modern way. And that's one more thing that'll be gone when they ban TikTok in the United States of America.
And Senator, you remember that.
Thank you, sir. Fitbit is killing off, according to XDA developers. Christine Perceau writing at xda-developers.com. Some of the best reasons to use a Fitbit.
The Verge reported this like 2 weeks ago, but yes.
Okay, well,
I'm just
she's
like
an actual user. So,
I'm a user. I got the note, and I'm
several
pissed.
of our club Twitch
YouTube
members were quite upset about this.
But this is an old story.
Yeah. I mean, it's like 2 weeks old, and I'll
It's still
complain about it to
evolving, I
anyone.
thought.
Yeah.
It's not happened yet. March 27th, challenges and open groups will be removed from your Fitbit. Is this because Google wants you to get a Pixel? I'm sorry, go ahead.
Do you see a benefit in removing challenges?
Well, that's my question.
It seems like that would be the last thing to go because it promotes community, if you will, as far as folks trying to work on fitness.
Google sucks
right?
at community, I guess.
Well, or maybe they want you to get a Pixel Watch instead if they move.
They do. This is them making Fitbit crappier. So we buy the Pixel, which is already crappy and nobody wants it. And it makes me mad because I hoped that the Fitbit ethos of like decent stuff would actually make the Pixel better. And I'd
That's
get, like,
what I thought would happen too. Yeah.
Yeah.
They did the worst.
Screw them.
I've had a Fitbit since they launched. I had the original one that had the little flower on it and like grew.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah. I had that
I
one.
only had a
crushes me.
handful, but my washing machine has had a lot of them.
Yeah. They almost all ended up in the washing machine. No, that's true.
Yeah, those clip-on ones
Because they
were
clipped onto your
dire that way.
pants, right? And so,
Yeah.
Or your bra strap. But yeah,
and then you'd wash
probably
it.
not your bra strap.
No, it's his man's ear. Please.
I like to
Your
let.
man's here.
I'm a natural kind of guy. I like to let it all hang out. We didn't mention when we were talking about Florida, the bill. This isn't even can't be serious. This can't be serious. The bill from a member of the Florida State Legislature, Senate Bill 1316, that would require bloggers who write about the governor to register with the state. I mean, come on, man. Senator, this is
making up everything new they can come up with to be more outrageous.
Succeeding? I mean, really, are you so worried that somebody's going to criticize Ron DeSantis that you want them to register, and then what?
Anytime you make the media register, you are on the losing side.
Well,
that's a bad sign.
Blatant violation of the First Amendment. But nowadays, it's worth a try, isn't it? You mentioned the cybersecurity strategy that the Biden has presented. Now, the problem is it's not law yet. We got to obviously encode it into law to make it have any.
Well, hold
value.
on.
Yeah.
So this isn't designed to become law. This is to govern our government's approach to cybersecurity. And some of these things are already in existing laws and executive orders. So this is its mission statement. And we're going to build things that follow the mission statement is how I would think about it if I were you.
So besides the privacy angle, which you mentioned, there's also, I think, a significant issue. Door number three, where the government says, no, so you remember whenever you open a box with software or you download software and you ignore the EULA, the end user license agreement, there's almost always in there a paragraph that says this company in no way warrants that this software is good for purpose, will do anything good, and if it does anything bad, we're not responsible. There's no warranty at all here that this works. They're not liable, in other words. Well, this is one of the third rail issues that this new cybersecurity policy addresses. They are asking software makers to be liable. It says, quote, companies that make software must have the freedom to innovate, but they must also be held liable when they fail to live up to the duty of care they owe consumers, businesses, or critical infrastructure providers. Whew, them's fighting words.
So this makes this is a huge shift. I will say, though, that we have in many industries over the last 3 or so years, we've implemented many laws that are like, you need to do this. You should not have this in your designs.
Car makers are liable, right? If you make a car, the wheels fall off and everybody dies in a fiery wreck, they're not off the hook. There's no software license agreement that says, well, we're not responsible for the wheels. That's most consumer goods. They are liable. Software is unique in that respect.
Yeah, and they've had rules in place. So this isn't coming out of nowhere. They know what they need to do. They just now, and they're supposed to be doing it, but now they're saying, and if you're not doing it, boom, you're going to be liable.
Good.
So
good.
And I think this is good. I think this is what is the concept of fiduciary duty for developers who should be following secure by design principles? I mean, I don't know. It's not fiduciary duty. What is duty of care, I guess. And the other thing that's interesting here is they have a whole thing about insurance and trying to figure out, like, they're talking about a federal cyber insurance backstop, which is basically like, let's say there's a big ransomware attack or some sort of thing happens, it's a physical attack, and it shuts down an industry, and the insurance companies that people have contracted with for cyber insurance can't pay for it. Should the federal government step in and be like, yeah, okay, we got that. That's a really interesting kind of thing right there.
There's so many other stories, and I don't really want to spend another 3 hours because... Well, I just don't.
I did have a waffle, but I get you.
I mean, Jeff, you put in so many good examples of ChatGPT parlor tricks.
That's kind of what I wanted. I also wanted to prove why you should have a show about it.
Well, but to me, it's just like, okay, so Alan Alda, who has
Jeff's
a podcast.
TikTok and GPT parlor trick show.
Yeah, okay. That's an interesting show. Okay. You could host that. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Alan got a ChatGPT to write a new MASH scene and then got Hawkeye and BJ Honeycutt to voice it, which is kind of cool, I guess, but a parlor trick.
The script
nonetheless
sucked. It was parlor trick, yes.
20%
are you talking about MASH?
MASH.
Yeah, MASH.
20% of that's it. I'm done. I'm not going to say anymore. I'm not going to play it. 20% of Y Combinator's incoming class, machine learning. 20%. I'm surprised. Next year it'll be 30%, 50%, right? You can now have ChatGPT and Slack. I immediately applied. I can't wait. In the past, we've had Burke on Free Lunch Wednesdays ask for people's orders. Burke, you'll be glad to know from now on, ChatGPT will be collecting the food orders on Free Lunch Wednesday.
So basically, ChatGPT does office politics now.
You ordered pork chops, didn't you, Leo? No, I didn't. Oh, I'm sorry, Leo. You're dead. Have you seen, by the way, at least two people I know, one a professor and one Chris Breen, who's a Mac expert, have been told that they're dead by ChatGPT. You ask who, tell me more about Chris Breen, and it says, all the nice things about Chris Breen. It says, Chris Breen passed away in 2018, and it's like, what? It's just a strange place to go. Plug something.
And I plug Matthew Kirschenbaum, who the author of Track Changes, a book we love.
Yes.
Wrote a wonderful piece in The Atlantic called Prepare for the Textpocalypse.
Yeah.
In which he's arguing that we thought we had a lot of text before, but now ChatGPT is going to cause this tsunami of text.
Yeah.
And I think it's a wonderful piece. I said back in Twitter that I think that we were already there, right? Media were filling up the world with meaningless content, memos and letters and bureaucracy. We were already at too much text. Now, in a way, it does us a favor by saying how meaningless it all is.
Yeah.
But it's a good piece.
Yeah. I think ultimately the uses of AI will end up not being creating images or creating text, but some other kind of variety of
creating
interesting
software that we could all build ourselves.
Yeah.
To do the jobs we want.
There'll be some useful things, and some of these are just parlor tricks.
I mean, AI is already doing captioning and translation on the fly.
And it's very good, by the way, that, those YouTube captions have gotten better and better.
On our Google Meets today, 2 things popped up for the first time. One, we had the option of using Bureau, by the way.
Oh,
it
that's
just popped
nice.
up, and I was like,
okay.
So it was like, do you want to use Bureau? And I was
when
like,
you use
sure,
it's
let's
so
try
cool because you can have a timer and
cool.
you can do brainstorming. Yeah, there's all sorts of cool things you can do with it. Yeah, our sponsor.
So that was cool.
Sponsor, by the way.
Sponsor, by the way. And then
Jeff, you didn't say sponsor, by the way. We have to all of us say it. It's the new rule.
Unfold your arms and say it.
What did I do wrong now?
He moved his lips. That's good enough. That's fine. What else?
So the second thing is they had real-time captioning, which I've seen, but they had real-time captioning with translations.
Isn't that amazing?
Which I hadn't seen. And I was like...
Well, but Stacey, you can't have any of that because you're giving up Google. So no. You can have none of that. All those wonderful things you just talked about, you can't use anymore because you're being nasty to Google.
Well, that was our Google in our business, not Google in my personal life.
Well, I'm sorry. Can't be two-faced, Stacey.
Two-faced.
You're either a Google friend or you're not.
God.
You're like one of those people who's like, if you work for Apple, you best be using Apple gear.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But you can use DuckDuckGo with ChatGPT.
Okay.
It wisely, though, is interesting. It's using just encyclopedias and Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Oh,
and by the way,
source or training materials.
Did your friend Leo Laporte show you Neva doing this ages ago? Okay, I'm just saying.
But you like ChatGPT.
Everybody's doing it now.
You guys, first gave up Google search for DuckDuckGo, and so I'm just going back to your old hypocritical ways.
I'm loving Neva, by the way. $5 a month,
we know,
ads.
Leo. We know.
Have I mentioned that?
Hear about it.
Can I invite a friend? Can I share the magic? Please.
Nobody wants to use your slow search engine.
It's not slow anymore, by the way. I have to say, I did, in fact, I think, besmirch it in the past by saying, sometimes just turn up slowly. Let me just show you. Who is Jeff Jarvis?
Am I going to be alive or not?
Yeah, let's see if you're dead. And then, you see, it's very quick. Oh, you didn't get...
Okay, now it's speeding up.
Yeah, it's much faster. And I like the results.
But it didn't give a paragraph about me.
No, because you don't count.
Issue like 2 sentences.
Jeez.
Oh, wait a minute. Here we go.
An old white American man.
I wrote that.
Okay.
I know.
Okay. Yeah. Anyway, there's some good pictures of you in here. Is that an AI picture? That's a really good one. I like this one. Look at he's looking at you.
No,
I love that shot.
That's good.
That is nice.
Yeah.
Scoble took one that is generally used that I hate.
This one, I bet. That looks like that. I would hate that one. That
looks like I'm singing an aria, doesn't it?
Yeah. Is this it?
No, I hate that one too.
Yeah. No, this is good. If I looked like
That's a good one there.
I'd use that everywhere.
Gritty.
You look like you're in Jaws, the movie. Like you're gonna be like the old captain who's gonna take down the giant shark, kind of. Gritty. The gritty Jeff Jarvis.
Aye.
But Facebook's bringing back Messenger weirdly. weirdly.
I think we should make a note that Recode brand is dead.
Yeah, that's kind of sad. That was started by Walt and Kara, right?
Kara, yeah.
The brand is dead?
Walt was sad about it today on...
They're retiring the Recode branding. I don't really understand. CNET and Vox and all these companies that really wanted to take blogs to the next level all seem to be, I think they're troubled. And they're kind of...
Going the way of AI?
Yeah, they're kind of thrashing, trying to solve the...
At some point you
CNET
say we're
just
spending
makes
too
me
much
sad.
marketing other brands.
Yeah.
So we got to have one brand, and everything's going to be behind that brand. I've seen that happening in companies before. And
Yep.
yeah,
Well,
it's a
and then,
phase.
of course, private equity buys in, as they did with CNET. Red Ventures did. And then they fired a lot of people. A lot of friends from CNET lost their jobs this past week. And Connie Guglielmo, who is the editor-in-chief and has been on the shows many times, has been booted. I think it's booted sideways. Maybe it's upstairs.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, she's in charge of the AI stuff and no longer
After having been in charge of the AI stuff that got them that publicity.
In trouble.
Now she's going to fix
Yeah.
She wasn't in,
Well,
to be fair, she wasn't in charge of the AI written articles on CNET.
Really?
She approved it, but there was a guy from Red Ventures who was the point person. She's
and isn't
now
he now the executive editor?
maybe, yeah. It doesn't bode well. Connie, who's great, is now the senior vice president at Red Ventures, in charge of AI content strategy.
Sounds like a promotion to me.
It does sound like a move upstairs.
SVP?
Yeah.
Sounds like a pay raise.
Yeah. 9 years editor-in-chief at CNET. She was the one who had to write the blog post defending the use of AI to write those articles. Jeff, is it that advertising the advertising dollars are dwindling for these blogs? Is that what's going on?
and yes, I think so.
Because I'm
right?
sympathetic on that. We've seen the same thing.
Right.
I don't know. But nobody says digital ad sales are down. It's just I think that they're buying Google ads and Facebook ads maybe.
Well, that's what they're buying. Yeah, no, they're buying programmatic.
Yeah.
So anything, you have a sales staff selling the unique value of the Twit number. What the hell was that?
Miss Stacy, you should mute when you do.
Stacy was closing.
Sorry, I was
waffle
just
irons.
making.
Why were you
noises.
scratching? Don't scratch
in the
Don't be
windscreen.
scratching your windscreen.
Let's all do it.
I just.
And come
After
on,
a certain
and
point in
scratch your
time,
windshield.
you lose me, and then I'm like, "What's this dot here? Let's see what it is." I'm sorry.
All right.
I'm just not.
Let's
as
do a
focused
quick
as I
change log
normally
and get the
am.
hell
Let's
out
do
of
change
Dodge.
log. That means it's change log time. Yeah.
It's change log time.
Stacy's is twiddle time for Stacy.
A leak, my friends, of the March 2023 Pixar feature GOP. Pixar.
What?
Wait a minute. Let me just check if I'd had a stroke. Nope. I can raise both hands. The Pixel feature drop. Well, they do this, anyway, who cares?
The last test is what it's called. Sorry. Okay,
Well,
Pixel.
It's Smile too, right? What is it? LAST? Is that an acronym?
I think it's LA. It is. It's a shorter version of the smile. It's
Okay.
like smile and raise your arms, and there's one other step.
Yeah.
Why
No,
is
I
the
need to
race-
know
so
this.
They had my father do it just yesterday. Why is that a test?
Because you can't control your muscles
Your
in
body
your
does.
extremities.
Oh.
Typically, a stroke, you lose some bilateral functionality. So when you smile, it'll be like this, or you raise.
And when you raise your arms, it'll be like
one arm, that kind of
one-sided.
thing. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. I'm not a doctor. Google rolling out Android 14 Developer Preview 2. You want a gallery of everything new in Android 14 Preview Developer 2? Apparently, it's all pineapple flavored. Huh. Emoji Lab wallpaper creator. We really reached peak smartphone. None of this stuff is going to change anybody's experience. And
Unless it's a rolling screen.
and yes, okay. I guess this should be in the change log. Somebody saw, let me get it for you here.
Those are the worst pictures.
Somebody saw, these are the worst pictures. The latest Pixel Fold leak. Are you ready for the pictures? That's it.
Yeah, these are terrible.
These are terrible. So this is somebody is on a subway, okay, and on the New York City subway, got 4 shots. The bottom right, you can make out the curve of the screen, and the top, you can roughly see the outer display's edge. Then a metallic reflective hinge. Hinge is key. Fourth, I don't know why they think this is not a Galaxy Fold, but the Google Pixel Fold. But the Redditor says they saw the camera bump bar, which is actually that does make it like a Pixel, right? You've seen the back of a Pixel 7, Pixel 6. Is it the Pixel Fold? There are rumors. In fact, this might be why you want to pay attention to this Google I/O keynote. Maybe this is when they start talking about a folding screen from Google. I think they're going to, I started talking and you shouted me down about perhaps talking about Google Bard and how they're going to.
We didn't shout you down.
You shouted me down. You did.
No, we didn't.
You did it in your mind. In your mind, you shouted me down.
Oh, you're so paranoid.
I'm very sensitive.
Speaking of paranoia, go back to that picture for a second. I bet there's now a security alert out. All Google employees who have the bad taste to wear gold pants report to the security office.
Well, but they do. This is typical. We see these because before you release a phone, you got to get out in the wild and you got to get people trying it. Apple does it. Samsung does it. Everybody does it. Usually they put it in a case that makes it look like nothing. But in this case, it looks like maybe we've seen the first shots.
How can you see anything with that photo? There's nothing identifiable from that photo. It could be a trio for all you know. I mean, geez.
Exactly. Thank you. That doesn't look like anything.
It looks like nothing.
Of note.
Google begins rolling out its.
This is what the
shut me down.
Apocalypse is creating stories like this. Now I'm shouting you down. Now I'm shouting you down. Now you can recognize when you're shouted down.
Oh, my mother watches this show.
By the way, I mentioned that story, so it's my fault that you even mentioned it.
Okay. Yes, that's right. It wasn't even in the changelog, but I had forgotten, so it's good to do it. Google begins rolling out its new look for docs and other workspace apps. Oh, Google One begins. I'm sorry. I'm it's a little late. Google One.
Hold on, let me scratch my microphone for you.
Why does Stacy sound different than mine? Mine has kind of a soprano. Hers was more of a
it was more of a
tone.
There was a little bit of a bong in there too, like a bong.
Yeah, it was. It was.
Well, I was tapping. It's just. I'm really not cut out for this job, I'll be honest. Oh, dear.
Google One brings a VPN to its $1.99 month plan, adding dark web into monitoring. Pixel Buds Pro spatial audio with head tracking update is rolling out. Do you still use your Pixel Buds, Jeff, or have you?
Yes, I do.
You do.
Yes, I do.
So look for spatial.
Yep.
The Android 15, which is V, we believe 9 to 5 Google says is vanilla ice cream. You know, it always has to have a dessert. Vanilla ice cream. And Google has launched a new Google Trends portal. I think Google Trends is actually quite useful. I like Google Trends, don't you? It's fun.
Yeah, seems like journalists would enjoy that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
See what people are talking about. Yeah, it's very useful. So there's a new, a new portal to that. You can see what people are searching for. This is one of the things Google does that's actually awesome. It's just the ability to see like the top search topics right now, and what's going up and what's going down, and you could see in different jurisdictions and stuff. So I think this is a great tool. Trends.google.com, and that's a very brief Google changelog.
Solid minus the phone. Solid minus that.
The foam?
The phone.
Oh, the phone.
The phone. I'm sorry, my southern drawl.
Wait, actually, there was a cool thing that Scooter X put in. I just want to stick this in here because this drives me nuts.
Thank you, Mr. Scooter
Apparently, yeah, thank you, Mr. Scooter X. See, we do read your stuff, and we're like, ooh, that is good.
Good God, you make fun of me for how many links. Look at all those links.
Google
Scooter
Chrome
X,
is
get a
making
life.
it easier to
Wow.
delete autofill data. And you know what? Thank goodness. So it's basically, you know how it's got all the autofill and
Yeah.
let's say you move
Yeah.
or something happens, then it's like still trying to bring up your old stuff. You used to have to go like to this, you had to go someplace. I remember going several screens. And now What
There's
are
a
you
little
gonna do?
trash
The latest
can
release?
icon. Oh, that's great.
Oh, that is nice. Okay,
Hallelujah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Because that is really annoying. Or like when your credit card number, well, now you don't, it changes, but it used to not. When it wasn't part of like the formal Google thing.
Don't go running looking for it, though. It's currently in the works only for desktop, including Windows, Mac OS, Linux, and Chrome OS.
And in any case, Stacey can't have it because she doesn't want to use Google. So,
Jeff.
You're going to never let her.
I know. I'm going to just
both of you.
All right. That sentence for the rest of my life.
All right. Let's all just take a breath to scratch our screen protectors. Our pop filters. We're just.
Stacey, would you do yours again? Because it did sound different. I want to hear how it sounded. How did you do that?
Well, seriously. So I wasn't intentionally scratching it to make noise. I was just curious. So this is a curious scratch.
Whoa!
That's the finger.
That's a fingernail. That is clearly a fingernail.
That is a nail.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking she doesn't have quite as fine a grained a pop filter as we do. Hers might be a little more textured.
But I like how the sound changes.
This is probably a low point, I'm going to say. I'm
real sorry.
All of podcasting.
I'm really sorry.
I watched the podcast and all they were doing scratching their microphone.
I just had a squirrel moment.
I can't think of another podcast where this has become a part of the show.
I don't have a persona for the show. It's just me.
I look forward to all the messages.
Oh, no,
that's your persona. That's a great persona.
It is. That's the whole joy of it.
Yeah. What is your...
It's like, what was it? Eugene Levy. They talked to him about doing a travel show. He said, no, I hate traveling. They said, that's the show.
And then they did it. Guess what? They did it. It's on Apple TV now. And the promo, the very first thing says, I'm here in Antarctica. And the first thing that comes to mind is, why am I here in Antarctica? It's probably a great show because he's very funny, of course. Hey, everybody. It's Leo Laporte, the founder and host of many of the Twit podcasts. I don't normally talk to you about advertising, but I want to take a moment to do that right now. Our mission statement at Twit, we're dedicated to building a highly engaged community of tech enthusiasts. That's our audience. And you, I guess, since you're listening, by offering them the knowledge they need to understand and use technology in today's world. To do that, we also create partnerships with trusted brands and make important introductions between them and our audience. It's how we finance our podcasts, but it's also, and our audience tells us this all the time, a part of the service we offer. It's a valued bit of information for our audience members. They want to know about great brands like yours. So can we help you by introducing you to our highly qualified audience? And boy, you get a lot with advertising on the Twit podcasts. Partnering with Twit means you're going to get, if I may say so humbly, the gold standard in podcast advertising. And we throw in a lot of valuable services. You get a full service continuity team supporting everything from copywriting to graphic design. I don't think anybody else does this or does this as well as we do. You get ads that are embedded in our content that are unique every time. I read them, our hosts read them. We always over-deliver on impressions. And frankly, we're here to talk about your product. So we really give our listeners a great introduction to what you offer. We've got onboarding services, ad tech with pod sites. That's free for direct clients. We give you a lot of reporting so you know who saw your advertisement. You'll even know how many responded by going to your website. We'll also give you courtesy commercials that you can share across social media and landing pages. We think these are really valuable. People like me and our other hosts talking about your product sincerely and informationally. Those are incredibly valuable. You also get other free goodies, mentions in our weekly newsletter that's sent out to thousands of fans. We give bonus ads to people who buy a significant amount of advertising. You'll get social media promotion too. But let me tell you, we are looking for an advertising partner that's going to be with us long term. Visit twit.tv/advertise. Check out our partner testimonials. Tim Broom, founder of IT Pro TV. They started IT Pro TV in 2013, immediately started advertising with us, and grew that company to a really amazing success. Hundreds of thousands of ongoing customers. They've been on our network for more than 10 years. And they say, and I'll quote Tim, We would not be where we are today without the Twit network. That's just one example. Mark McCrary, who's the CEO of Authentic, he was actually one of the first people to buy ads on our network. He's been with us for 16 years. He said, and I'm quoting, the feedback from many advertisers over those 16 years across a range of product categories is that if ads and podcasts are going to work for a brand, they're going to work on Twitch shows. I'm proud to say that the ads we do over-deliver. They work really well because they're honest. They have integrity. Our audience trusts us, and we say, this is a great product. They believe it. They listen. Our listeners are highly intelligent. They're heavily engaged. They're tech-savvy. They're dedicated to our network. And that's partly because we only work with high-integrity partners that we have thoroughly and personally vetted. I approve every single advertiser on the network. If you're ready to elevate your brand and you've got a great product, I want you to reach out to us. Advertise at twit.tv. So I want you to break out of the advertising norm, grow your brand with host-read authentic ads on twit.tv. Visit twit.tv/advertise for more details or email us advertise@twit.tv if you're ready to launch your campaign now. I think this would be a good time, now that we've all, checked our pop filters, to do the back of the book. And it is going to kick things off with, we are going to kick things off with Stacy's thing. Stacy?
Oh, okay. I have no thing.
Okay. That's all right. Jeff has so many things.
No thing.
The new mouth organ.
Man,
the music out of a pop filter. That's the thing.
We went to Disney. We caught COVID. I've got a bunch of boxes in the corner, and I've got nothing for you.
So let's just, on the COVID thing, because I don't think we really finished that conversation. So you and Andrew both got it mildly. Do you know where he got it from? I mean, Bainbridge Island cannot be a hotspot exactly.
We were in Disneyland.
I
can show you what I got at Disneyland. I got the best souvenir of all time.
Let's see it.
That's really not something. Really?
What? Yeah.
Okay.
A Disney souvenir. Look, pics don't have to be anything.
Okay, these are my favorite guys in all of the world.
Oh,
and
they're
ready?
they're from the
Minion things?
The Minions, yeah.
No, they're not the Minions. That is a completely
those are
non-Disney.
from
That
the
is a
Toy
Warner
Story
Brothers character.
Those are the Toy Story guys.
I know
in
absolutely nothing about cartoons today. So.
No, in Toy Story, those are the little claw guys living in the claw machine.
These are the little guys, and so they say, "Hold on."
Oh, okay.
Boy, I'm glad they spent money on the high fidelity reproduction.
Yeah.
I know, but that is like my happiness whenever I'm on deadline, or I'm like, oh my God. Then I just get
that's really
claw.
cute.
Anyway, not something that's really tech savvy, although now I'm like, could I just pull these MIDI files and make my ringtone be like the claw?
Yes.
Maybe.
Disney probably would be very unhappy with me. But
people would think you have a really crappy phone if it sounds like that.
The eye roll. The eye roll.
That was just an angry scratch on my pop filter.
Oh, now we have a way she can really express.
This is Mike Mozart of the Toys Channel with one of my very favorite Toy Story toys ever. It was a Disney Store
I saw that
exclusive.
and I didn't buy it.
It's the claw.
I wanted to.
That's right.
Oh, why didn't you, Stacey?
Because it's not in here. I bought a Lego orchid flower, which is awesome. Have y'all seen those? Do you want to see it?
Yeah.
Sure.
This Stacy's thing
have to go get it.
Migrated into many things.
Now, if she had no things, now she has nothing but things.
By the way, just while she's walking around, you were asking about this Opal C1 camera.
Yeah, I was curious about this.
$300 camera. Jason
That's
Snell has been using it
for a little while.
Yeah, Jason's been using it on Mac Break Weekly. But I have to say, I'll be honest. I think you already have the best camera. I bought a lot of these to try them out.
You did these Opals?
I didn't buy the Opal, but I've tried almost all of the competitors for this.
All the cameras that come along.
And it actually looks very good. But you really have, with your Android, probably the best camera you need.
And or the iPhone.
Because I'm using the Mac.
So Camo, C-A-M-O is the program. You could put it on your Android phone or your iPhone. And there's a Camo Studio that goes in the Mac. and then you can either hook it up or do it wirelessly. I have all these cameras.
Really well.
I have all these cameras at home, and I've stopped using them. I use my iPhone, but you can use an Android device. I've just used this for the camera, and it works great.
Totally cosign.
And how do you hook that up to the?
Either with a cable or
Mac.
wirelessly. It will work over Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But the program you want, and that's not free, but we'll underwrite it.
Oh.
And you have a Pixel, right? It should work. It should work on your.
Of course I do, because I still use Google.
Yeah.
Still use Google. It's just on a Samsung.
So it's from
And-
what's the name? This is not it. So don't show this.
No.
Camo, not Cam Studio. Camo.
Camo.
I left out the O. Do not leave out the O. It's from reincubate.com.
CAMO. Okay.
CAMO.
It used to be orange.
Reincubate.com. And what it basically they have, the Android app is not quite as good as the iOS app, but it still does the job. So you put it on your phone, you launch it on your phone, and then on your Mac you launch Cam Studio. You can also do that on Windows. I've tried it on Windows and Mac. I've tried it with Android and iOS.
Windows.
Yeah. You can't what?
I had it on Windows for a little while, playing around with it because I had that
Works
old
well.
iPhone over here, and it worked really well.
Yeah. So it's truly cross-platform now, and honestly, you spent $1,000 on your smartphone, and that
exactly.
a lot of that went to the camera, and I think these cameras are better than anything I've seen, any of these USB cameras I've seen.
Thank you for making those points, Mr. Laporte. That right there, you spent $1,000 on this thing. Get some miles out of it.
Yeah.
All for all of this.
I've even hooked up SLRs. I've put my Sony Alphas on and stuff like that. And I mean, that's probably better. But honestly,
but that's the thing. You have that.
I don't know if it's
don't have
better.
to go out
honestly.
and buy those things
because the iPhone
You got a
has
phone.
great, quick, as your Pixel 6 does, auto focusing. You could do all these. It's got a lot of processing in there. I mean, it's really amazing what you can do. So I think that's probably the way to go.
Will I no longer be pink or yellow?
I think we'd solve that problem. So let me just look at the pricing because we should send you a chit.
No, it's fine.
We'll send you a chit.
Chit.
You don't need to send me a chit.
Have you been watching My Pick of the Week?
I shall send you a chit for $39.99 for the Camo Pro. Actually, you could try it for free, and that's probably what you should do is try it for free first and see how it works.
I'll find a way to break it.
Yeah.
Did you try the Lumia camera, Jeff?
Yeah,
Did
we've
that
tried
work?
them all. We tried every one of them. And it's because he has a very unusual lighting situation. But honestly, your Pixel's pretty good at handling that. You know,
what's actually good is my Chromebook camera is better than this in some ways.
Right.
I would say things that I would vouch for on having like a APS-C sensor, a full frame sensor, but for a webcam, smartphones are just as good and will be totally fine.
Yeah. Now let's see your Lego flowers.
Hey.
It's a Lego orchid.
What?
What the what?
I know, it was my Valentine's Day present.
Oh, he is now.
Did
That's
you make it, or did Andrew make it?
He's a keeper.
Okay, Eris made it or my child made it because they find it stress relieving. So I said I volunteered it to. They got a bonsai, and I got this. But look, it has the little like leaves, and it has a bunch of like loose Legos. So this is just like loose fill. Oh, sorry, it's got the roots. Yeah, it's got like loose Lego fill. Is it dirt?
So this is the bonsai tree that they got. That's really cool. This is really cool.
They're
and there's
really
a bird
awesome.
of paradise, but that it looks like you said you got. Oh, there's the orchid. Oh man, your husband gets extra points on that. This is from the Lego Botanical Collection.
And you don't sneeze at it.
Wow.
I don't know if many people are allergic to orchids, but yes. And I was kind of like, this will be kind of cheesy, but it's actually quite nice.
No,
and
it's neat.
it's real shiny. I like it.
Actually,
and they have the Rivendell set, y'all.
The Rivendell?
If you want to.
That's twice I've heard that word today.
Okay, Lord of the Rings, where the elves live.
Yeah.
They've got a mega. I think it's like $300, but it is a gorgeous.
So you are a
These
secret
are the
Lego
Legos.
lover.
It's not that secret.
I've never heard you talk about this before. Oh my golly gosh.
Are you looking at it? Isn't it awesome?
Oh my good golly gosh. Rivendell, the last homely house, home of Elrond. And look, there's the Elven Queen and Frodo Baggins and Samwise Gamgee, and there's Merry Brandybuck and Pippin Took, Legolas, Gimli, Boromir, Aragorn. They're all there. Wow.
I wanted the Lego Gutenberg press, but they didn't approve it.
I would have voted for it.
How about a Lego
Jeff.
linotype? How about that, huh?
Oh, that'd be killer.
Hey, you know how much Rivendell is? 500
300?
schmackers.
Oh, 500.
500.
Get the orchid.
Get the orchid. It's $60. Yeah.
Oh, mine was only 50.
Uh-oh.
I think it's only.
Uh-oh.
Where are you
Where's-
looking? Where are you
where's-
shopping for your Legos?
No, I just was looking online. I don't want to give away the
$10 VIG.
I don't want to give away the price because, I mean, it was a
it's
gift.
okay.
It's 50. 50.
It's 50.
50.
Oh, yeah.
Or 49.99 euros. Where would I find this mid-journey of Gritty Jeff? Huh? In the Discord?
Oh,
No, we
Gritty
gotta
Jeff
go to our
Midjourney?
the staff one.
Oh, look.
Oh, dude.
Where is it?
We
It's
have a staff
in the
Discord
regular.
at the
Oh, in the
bottom.
staff Discord.
Oh, well, hell.
I didn't know we had a
These
staff.
are outstanding.
Not Slack.
Outstanding.
Staff. I don't even know
Staff.
about this. Are you guys hanging out without me? Where the hell is staff
Maybe.
Discord? All right.
Down at the bottom, inside Twit staff.
Okay. Oh, wait a minute. Inside Twit staff? Oh, the staff mid-journey.
Yes.
Oh,
we use
yeah.
staff
I didn't realize we have a staff mid-journey. Gritty
That was just
Jeff.
implemented today by Mr. Nielsen.
Gritty Jeff, ladies and gentlemen.
These are pretty awesome.
Go up one.
So you know what happened was Gritty is the mascot for
Philadelphia Flyers.
For the Flyers, and so when you said Gritty Jeff, but there's another. Oh, that's you.
That
These are
pompadour.
awesome.
That is you. Look at the hair. Let's make that the album
These
art
are
for the show
awesome.
today. I think so. If those of you listening
That's
only on
that's
audio,
me as Cruella de Vil, I think.
yeah, he's got Cruella de Vil hair. Jeff, did you have a pick of the week?
Oh, I got tons. I
see.
I want to mention just real quickly that tomorrow is the last
Oh,
day.
wait a minute. There's more.
For the shift.
This is the one where you're on the boat.
That's homeless, Gritty Jeff.
Okay, you
I'm
want to
gonna
give a
need a
nice
bigger
plug to
boat.
our good friend Glenn Fleischman, and I don't want to
Glenn
stop.
Fleischman,
you.
and
yes,
the last day for the Shift Happens Kickstarter is tomorrow. It's more than $725,000.
I'm so happy.
They passed their
Outstanding.
$700,000 extra special push, and
And
it's just amazing.
They apparently, I heard Glenn, or I saw Glenn Toot, don't have plans for second printing. So if you want it, better go now to the Kickstarter, search for Shift Happens, and if you want a copy, you better buy it because there may not, I can't promise, but it sounds like they don't want to do a second printing. So the first edition is it, and boy, wouldn't you want to have this. So very nice, very nice. He's
we
doing.
could go over about 10 slides in Benedict Evans' annual slide extravaganza.
Oh,
Something
is there-
tells me that Stacy's going to start scratching her.
Is there a slide in there
No,
about
I'm focused now. I
the new
I'm so
gatekeepers?
embarrassed. I
Something
will
to
stay
say?
focused.
Is it
I put down some numbers.
the COVID rotation?
14, 15.
14?
We can go
Okay.
through real fast.
Okay.
14, 15 is saying that there's some perspective here on the firings in technology. Facebook fired 11,000 people, but they hired 15,000 since January.
I've been saying this for a long time, but finally, Benedict Evans says it, and everybody believes it.
Now we listen.
All of these firings
slide
really
20.
bringing you just back to, pre-COVID at worst.
Yeah, exactly. Slide 20 on Amazon has now overtaken Walmart's revenue.
Ooh,
Stuff sold.
we've been waiting for that to happen. That's what we call the e-commerce singularity, baby.
Slide 28. Look at the ad budgets in the U.S. as a percent of GDP, and the U.K. is very high. Other countries just don't spend that much on advertising. We don't need.
Does he say anything about podcast advertising?
No, not a word. It doesn't matter, Leo. It just doesn't matter.
That's
to
clearly
Ben
it.
Evans.
I had to
He
send
has a
Lisa
podcast,
to
I
Las
think.
Vegas this week to raise money.
Oof.
Sell ads, you mean?
No, to dance.
I fell for it again. My God.
No. The podcast movement show is in Vegas right now. And she went there to talk people into buying ads. That's why she's there with our sales team. With Max.
You should see your comedy show.
With Max and Ryan.
This is amazing.
Yeah, she's hysterical. Man. She's got a little club show that's on.
Okay.
Hey, if you don't want Lisa to have to sell herself in Las Vegas, you should join Club Twit. That's all I'm saying. $7 a month. Never again will Lisa be forced down to do the thing.
They installed a pole in the studio for nothing. That's what you should hope for.
No, that's terrible, 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 terrible. This is my wife you're talking about. She is a wonderful, wonderful human being.
That was for you,
putting her life on the line by going to be amongst other people to sell advertising because the times are tough. But you can solve that problem just by joining Club Twit, twit.tv/Club Twit. That's all I'm going to say. It's just a nice support thing. You get a lot of free stuff, including Stacy's Book Club coming up next month. We've got a lot of good events. In fact, we have an event. You just put another event on there that's coming up soon, right?
Mr. Nielsen actually put in our special news of Home Theater Geeks.
Oh, that's the news. We're bringing back, thanks to club members, we can bring back a show that we had to cancel for lack of ad support, Home Theater Geeks. So that will be
live
in the club
going on
tomorrow, 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern. Then Stacy's Book Club, Victor Bognot, Alex Wilhelm, Fireside Chat with Sean Powers from Floss Weekly. I'm sure there'll be many more events still to come. You get that. You get the ad-free versions of all the shows. You get the Twit Plus feed with shows we don't put out in public. You get gritty Jeff Jarvis. We should start printing like little cards, gift cards to give away. Otherwise,
Twit collector cards.
Collector cards.
So when you join, you get should be every year, maybe with a Christmas card you get one, or maybe it's like every
Moral
month.
Panic. We should have Jeff Jarvis's Moral Panic cards.
There we go.
That would be good.
Yeah.
That would be really good. Nice. We actually have this is new. It's funny because I said, we should do that yesterday. And within seconds, they created a Mid-Journey bot in our Club Twit for the staff. Cool. Very nice. Did you have anything else, Jeff, before we move on?
Slide 41, Anchor, having built a $2 billion business just on Amazon. That's pretty amazing.
Anchor beer? Anchor?
Or no,
Anchor.
Eufy?
Oh, Anchor.
The Eufy. Well, no, I think it's Anchor.
No, the charger company.
Yeah. The Eufy biz.
Yeah, we knew that. They're really, it's amazing what Amazon's let them do. But at the same time, it's kind of a trap, isn't it? Because then you have to be subject to things like Amazon undercutting you and demanding money so that you get picked and things like that. It's maybe not always
slide 56.
Yes,
YouTube. Yes, payouts are almost comparable to TV production budgets.
What? Overspent over like lots more people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But still, the budget much more.
Holy cow! What?
Slide 58. Mr. Beast has a comparable total viewing time to the top 10 Netflix show.
There you go.
Good Lord.
There you go. That says something. YouTube is really a parody with these streamers. Yeah.
Finally, slide 66. Sears, in its heyday, stocked 200,000 items. Amazon lists 300 million. 2,000 new series were made in the U.S. on TV in 2022. YouTube had, of course, there's 3.7 million daily uploads.
Wow. Very nice. That's Benedict Evans, who does a yearly presentation, which we often talk about, called The New Gatekeepers. Guess who the new gatekeepers are? Us.
Podcasters.
Us? Really?
No, apparently YouTube, actually. Mr. Jeff Jarvis, thank you so much. How about you, Aunt Pruitt? A thing or a item or?
Yeah, I didn't have one, and then I totally forgot about it. But you being here in Sonoma County, you remember the rain that we had this past weekend, raining sideways and hail and all of that good stuff. Well, I was out in that all day Saturday and just felt great. And I had my backpack with me, and you know what? All of my gear was totally fine. And it's the travel backpack from Peak Design.
Oh, I have this one.
Waterproof.
This is a great backpack.
Dadgum love it, but my cameras were totally fine. Did not have any damage from the sideways.
This is specifically a camera backpack, yes?
Yes, but you can also use it to put some clothes in it.
Do you have inserts in it to...
I do. I have their camera cubes also that I put inside of there too, just for extra little nooks and crannies, if you will, to put lenses or cards and stuff like that. But it's a heck of a backpack.
Oh, and it holds a bottle of wine.
Yes, nice. It does. A couple bottles of water, whiskey. Holds a bottle of wine. Yeah. Great bag, and I'm quite happy with that.
They do nice stuff.
And then the next link
looks
is
nice too.
Showing the actual rain, because we had the race this was the high school's first meet this weekend.
They were racing in the rain?
It was all day in the dadgum rain.
Oh, Lord.
And you can see, well, I guess that video doesn't show all the rain, but this was a great race. This was the 100-meter dash. Top 5 separated by about 0.08 of a second.
Wow.
In that race. It was such a good race. Hardhead finished 3rd.
Is that him in the 4th lane there?
He's in the red there, yeah.
Yeah.
And the guy right there on the right in the white, he won it. That's the guy from Newman. Such a good race. Wasn't happy with the time, but then I realized, he's been sick and has mono. So, yeah.
It's hard to do much with mono.
He was the fastest runner with mono in the race.
He felt good about it. His 200 meters was about, I think he ran like a 22.8 or something like that in the 200. Nice. And I was really impressed with that, considering he was still sick. But yeah, my final pick of the week is Silo series is finally announced with the dadgum date for TV. This is a book. This is based on the books from Hugh Howey's Wool, and it's got a lot of heavy hitters in there for acting, and Apple TV picked it up, and they're calling it Silo because it's based on some silos in that book series, and it's coming out.
Are they living in silos?
The trailer is awesome.
They're like living, is it a post-apocalyptic world and they have to live in a decommissioned missile silo? Is that?
I'll just say that.
Okay. But you like the books a lot, huh?
The 3 books are outstanding. I love them.
Oh, they are living.
Should we add them to book club potential?
We could, but I'm sure everybody's read it in our book club, quite honestly.
I haven't read them.
I have not read it.
I never even heard of it. Yeah.
Okay, It's Hugh Howey's, and it's called Wool is the first book. The second book is called, I think, Dust, and it's like a prequel to the first book, but it makes sense that they did it as a prequel. And then the third one ties it all together.
As soon as I finish Prince Harry's book, Spare, I will pick those up.
OMG.
But I'm glad that it's finally getting on television screens now. And you saw that he had Tim Robbins and
yes,
Common,
good-looking cast, May 5th.
And Rashida Jones.
You love her.
Cast.
Yeah.
Are you listening
there are
to
like
Spare?
6 books in this
I am
series.
listening to Spare because I want to work on my Ponzi British accent.
Let's try it. Let's hear how it's doing. Come on.
And then I thought about Mummy as the British tabloid told everybody I was a stupid person. It's actually good. It's good to hear. It's hard not to be sympathetic for somebody who was born into this family. And the British tabloid press is a nightmare.
Frogmore Gardens are the old Gothic ruins.
The old Gothic ruins.
I got there first.
Yes.
Looked
You're
around,
apparently listening to it too, are you?
I checked my phone. No texts.
No,
voicemails.
Mummy.
It must be running late, I thought.
It's silly to listen to it because I don't, I didn't want to be part of the Harry and Meghan media empire, but it's actually kind of interesting to see what it was like to be the spare. They call about the heir and the spare. The heir, of course, is big brother William, who's next in line after Charles III to be the King of England. And he's the spare because if something happens to William, then they've got a spare heir. And it's not easy being the spare, I guess, is the... But
I'm listening to Devil Land, England Under Siege, 1588 to 1688.
Under siege by whom?
Well, by themselves, because it starts with Elizabeth and then the various fights and beheadings from then on through Charles I, Charles II. So I'm
listening to Sorrowland.
Ooh, who's that?
Sorrowland.
Is it sorrowful?
It is about a fungus. It is actually. It's a lot. I'm not even going to describe it. It's science fiction. Just.
Do you only read sci-fi, Stacey? Besides the
I read everything.
Chip books and stuff that you read. You read nonfiction.
No, I read it. I don't read everything. I hate novels with women facing away from the camera, and they're about orphans from
hand in hand with the Eiffel Tower in front of them.
Yeah, I hate those historical lady fiction books, and it's not that I don't like them, but everything else I read almost indiscriminately.
Yeah. There's a sequel to Shantaram just came out. Good, I'll have to check that out. I liked that book. I try to alternate fiction and nonfiction. And I got to read more Ishiguro. We reread that wonderful Clara and the Sun book.
Yeah, that was great.
Have you read Never Let Me Go?
No, and it's funny you should say that because that's on my wish list. That's the next. I've read Remains of the Day, but I have to read Never Let Me Go, which has been, of course, made into a movie with Keira Knightley. But
I think they're having another movie. They're making. Someone just got the rights to his Dragon Fog book. I can't think of what it's called.
He's a lovely writer. I just love his.
He really is.
His prose. Okay, I think we can call it a day. We've been here for many, many hours.
About 10 hours.
We've cleaned our screens. Everything's working well, and I think it's time to say goodbye. No. I loved that. That was the highlight. Are you kidding, Stacey? It's literally the highlight of the show.
It was so funny.
Almost as good as Jeff Jarvis's headshot, which actually gave us hours of mirth as well.
Wow!
This is the famous dual joints portrait that everybody talks
it's signed.
Yeah,
how do you do that?
It's just nonsense. It's just nonsense. Here's in the style of Banksy.
Yeah, I like those two, so I said upscale those two.
Oh, nice.
They look great.
Yeah, there's some good stuff.
They really do.
Yeah. Mid-Journey has become my favorite of these. Yeah.
How did that get in there?
Elmo Moral Panic.
Moral Panic. I don't know. That's the prompt. Thank you, Jerry.
I tell the students in New York, never hug an Elmo on Times Square. Never. Yeah,
look,
exactly, Stacey.
Here's in the style of Charles Schultz, which it's not really.
No.
Well, it's more like Matt Groening.
This is great stuff. Great stuff. I like this one, Ant. You did this one, the Moral Panic shout.
So you have a Mid-Journey. Let me understand this. There's a Mid-Journey bot on the Discord.
We paid for.
Any member can go in here and put in a
on a different one. The members can go on.
The members have another
different one.
benefit of membership. Come on, Ant.
You get a Mid-Journey? Is it unlimited? You can make 25 images. And that's in our Discord.
You just used it up all on me.
There it is, under the Fun and Games heading. Oh.
And that was just added today by Mr. Nielsen as well.
Thank you. There's this is Jammer B's kitty. Another member benefit. Although we should, how much is it to get unlimited? Can you get unlimited? $50 a month? I don't know. For us to do it might be different because we would be generating a lot of stuff. Podcaster having lunch.
Of course I put that prompt in.
Yeah, that was the one we tried ages ago. It's gotten a lot better, hasn't it? Mm-hmm. Aunt Pruitt with a warm camera glow. I don't think they know you, Ant.
Little tubby Ant there, yeah.
I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah.
If the internet doesn't know who I am, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Nice. This is loads of fun, but I really think we have to call it a day. Again, another good reason to become a member of the club because the Discord never ends. I mean, it's always going. There's always stuff.
Like this show.
It never ends. much like This Week in Google.
That's what Stacey's thinking, I'm telling you.
Oh, my God. It's endless.
I do have to start cooking dinner at some point.
No props.
You're standing between my family and food.
Oh, no. We don't want to wouldn't want to do that. Stacey Higginbotham is at staceyoniot.com. You can get her newsletter. That's free. Check out any events upcoming and subscribe to the podcast she does with Kevin Toffel every week.
And
Last week, our guest was Paulus Schoutzen, who is the founder of Home Assistant. So if y'all are Home Assistant users, and I bet there are some of y'all out there, that's a good show because he's our guest and talks about some of the things coming up. I'm just going to plug that because I know there are Home Assistant folks out there. Okay,
Very good. StaceyOnIoT.com. Thank you, Stacey. Jeff Jarvis, we neglected to mention at the beginning of the show, so I'll say it now, is the Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Chorus and Journalism at the City University of New York. Thank you, Jeff. Always a pleasure. Try the Camo Studio. I bet you'd like it from reincubate.com. Yeah. And, of course, Ant Pruitt, who doesn't need any camera advice. He's the host of Hands-On Photography.
He's the normal one.
He looks good. He's the normal person on the show. The normal, average, everyday
and starring
Joe.
as the normal one, and Pruitt.
I used to do a show called The Screensavers, and the boss told me my co-host, I was like a weirdo, but my co-host was for the lunch bucket crowd. And
that's me.
Yeah. For the lunch bucket crowd, Ant Pruitt. You're in good company. Patrick Norton was
lunch bucket and a can of beer.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. It's good. It's good. None of that kombucha for him. No siree.
Stacey drinks fine gin.
I do.
And we've driven her to drink with this program. I consider that mission accomplished. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday, 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern. It is now 2100 UTC because we're about to go into summertime on Sunday. So we move. UTC does not, but that means you must tune in at a different time. Just do the calculations. 2100 UTC. After the actually, that's only if you want to watch live. The stream is at live.twit.tv. It's fun if you're watching live to participate with the chat at irc.twit.tv or in our Discord. Excuse me, I got the hiccups. If you're a Club Twit member, after the fact, you get on-demand versions of the show at twit.tv/twig. There's a YouTube channel also. Best thing to do, though, subscribe. That way you get it immediately as soon as it's done and edited, and you don't have to think about it. You can listen to it at your leisure or watch it because we put out video as well. Thanks, everybody. Appreciate your putting up with us for another 5 or 6 hours. We'll try to make the show a little longer next time.
All two of you who are left.
You sad, sad people. Thank you so much for being here. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.
Hey, I'm Rod Pyle, Editor-in-Chief of Ad Astra Magazine, and each week I join with my co-host to bring you This Week in Space, the latest and greatest news from the final frontier. We talk to NASA chiefs, space scientists, engineers, educators, and artists, and sometimes we just shoot the breeze over what's hot and what's not in space, books, and TV. And we do it all for you, our fellow true believers. So whether you're an armchair adventurer or waiting for your turn to grab a slot in Elon's Mars rocket, join us on This Week in Space and be part of the greatest adventure of all time.